Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are back once again. No, we are not live. No, don't adjust your screens. This is not the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. You see the title, you see the thumbnail. It is time for part two of our WWE 2024 tier list. This time we are doing the WWE men's roster, and we got graphics this time. We did the women's tier list. Now we are on to the men, and yes, I am joined by my co-host on the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, the True Draw himself, Josh. How are you doing?
Doing good. After that women's list, kind of know what to prepare for, and the men's. I think that one's going to be like probably more intense, more interesting because they do have a bigger roster.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys did show out. Some of them did flop, so we'll see.
We shall see. We appreciate y'all if you're watching us on the premiere. We appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Let's drop the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, sound off in the comments down below. Give us your thoughts. Who do you think should be in the S tier or WrestleMania headliners tier? Who should be in the bottom tier of contract not renewed? Who should be higher? Who should be lower on all the other tiers? Let us know in the comments down below. Let's start the conversation. How you have an opinion? We have an opinion. Like what you like. Just don't be a dick, and we'll all be good in the hood. And let's talk about 2024 for the WWE men's division. Let's share this tier list that we assembled here, Josh, with the people. We did the women's tier list. If you haven't already, go over and check that video out. That will probably be dropping first for y'all, or should be dropping first for y'all, because then this is a spoiler for everything. But yes, we got our tiers here that we got to look over that we came up with, kind of like play off of our AEW tier list. We got our top tier, our WrestleMania headliners, the people that had the best year for WWE, the creme de la creme, as we said before. Our main event is our main eventers, the people that had a great 2024, top level, maybe not top of the top, but definitely a great level of success or in-ring work or quality throughout the year, whether it be before they came to WWE or not. If you notice someone's in that group that you might be confused about, then we got our all-star, which is the people that had a very good year, accomplished a lot of goals, had some memorable moments or feuds, but just couldn't get up to those top two tiers. Then we got our mid-carders who had good years, solid years, but nothing that's going to kind of blow it out the water. They're kind of where they're at in the middle of the pack. Then we have people that deserve better, people that should have gotten more out of 2024 than what they were able to achieve. Our mid is mid. They were kind of just there. They didn't wrestle it, not didn't have a lot of memorable stuff going on. Niggas not here. We got niggas always hurt over on the AEW side of things. And we got niggas that are not here. These are people that are hurt, people that are not used, people that should be used and just not, or people that mostly it's people that were either pregnant or hurt throughout 2024 that are in that section, or just not here. That's why we have niggas not here. And then contract not renew. Unfortunately, these are for the people that either had their contract not renewed or fired in 2024, or probably should have had their contract not renewed or wasn't around that much in 2024. So that's why they're in contract not renewed. You see the people that are in the different tiers. If you want to know why they're in those different tiers, check out the women's tier list. But we got to go through the men here, Josh, and we are doing this in alphabetical order, it seems, with the men's roster. So we have a lot of names to get through, including some non-wrestlers as well. And that's why we're going to start off with Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. Mid.
Definitely mid. Fuck Adam Pearce.
I don't even know what to say. Like I was like, well, how do I describe this 2024? He did a lot of things. He let a lot of chaos go on, and
He's
he like
a
not do anything.
he did a lot of bullshit. That's what he did. Like Drew McIntyre, oh, he threw an elbow, suspended. But then freaking Bronson Reed on TV killing people, and then it's like, you know what? I'm gonna make you work more. What?
He never made any sense. CM Punk freaking posed as a fucking referee in your World Heavyweight
Nothing.
Championship matchup.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened to him.
Nothing happened to him while a fucking ref. He asked for a ref for sure. Yet that ref wasn't even reprimanded. Like nothing. Nothing happened.
Ridiculous, Adam Pearce. Ridiculous.
Mid.
Next, we got AJ Styles. AJ Styles returned to WWE at the latter half of 2023. I think it was in December. He came into 2024 in the Universal Championship scene. He battled in the Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble against Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and LA Knight. From there, he started his rivalry with LA Knight, costing him at the Elimination Chamber before facing him at WrestleMania 40. LA Knight picked up the victory at that event, but AJ Styles got a bit of redemption, beating LA Knight to become the number one contender for the WWE Championship. He had a barn burner, absolute instant classic in France at WWE Backlash against the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, that led to AJ feeling kind of down. He had another very good matchup with Randy Orton in the King of the Ring tournament before kind of getting down in the dumps, feeling like he was at the end of his career. He did a fake retirement that was very memorable this year, attacking Cody Rhodes, laying him out to get one more shot at the undisputed WWE Championship, which he did at Clash at the Castle in another excellent matchup against Rhodes in an I Quit matchup at that event. From there, he took some time off. He went over to Japan. He had a hell of a matchup, a banger with Narumichi Marufuji for Pro Wrestling Noah. Took a couple of months off. He appeared on the house show circuit for that duration, and then came back, I believe, in November to Friday Night SmackDown, and got injured in his first matchup back against Carmelo Hayes. So he was out for pretty much the duration of like from July on from WWE, other than that one televised matchup with Carmelo Hayes. So he is a person for niggas not here, but I think that he had a good enough year that I would say that before the kind of injury and time off and just weird booking of him after the Cody Rhodes feud was completed. But I think that he did enough as far as elevating his name, kind of bringing his reputation back to him. Because I feel like over the last couple of years, especially from the COVID-19 pandemic, AJ Styles' star power and his value to WWE has gone down, but the matches with Cody Rhodes rose it back up a bit. I would put him at All-Star.
You know, it's funny. I was actually thinking the same thing. I would say All-Star. Because, I mean, we know what AJ Styles could do. We know he's capable of, right? It's more so the booking. Is nothing with him. But also I think AJ is at a point of his career where he's on cruise control. I think he doesn't mind the time off because he got like 4 kids. So he's kind of like, you know, he's kind of in the tail end of his career. And but good thing about AJ Styles is that if you tell him to put on a good match and is a good worker, guy's gonna give you 110%. So I think All-Star is a fair. For 2024, I think All-Star is good. But then, like you said, he had 2 great matches with Cody Rhodes, especially the one at Backlash that was rated 5 stars. Some people might not agree, but it's given 5 stars. So match-wise, I think he proved he could still go.
Definitely agree with you there for AJ in 2024. We go back to our list here. We got Akam of the Authors of Pain. Where is Razor here? It's in alphabetical
Great.
order.
I see him. I see him right there.
There we go. Let's just raise him up here and just talk about the Authors of Pain at the same time. They, of course, are members of the Final Testament. They made their return to WWE at the New Year's Revolution edition of Friday Night SmackDown. joining forces with Karrion Kross, rejoining forces with Paul Ellering as well as Scarlett in the Final Testament group. They feuded with the Pride, Bobby Lashley, and the Street Profits in the early portion of the year, leading to a Philadelphia street fight at WrestleMania. They came up short in that matchup, but the Final Testament became a mainstay, a featured act over on Monday Night Raw. They were in a feud over the summer with the New Day, which really had the trickle down effect of what happened to the New Day coming out of that feud. But really, they've just been members of the Final Testament with Karrion Kross. They have been getting more TV time with the group as of late, but I don't know. Where do you think we should put them?
I think I'm gonna go with mid. They haven't done anything memorable since they've really come back.
Yeah.
Like, I think mid's a good spot. I mean, they're showing on TV, but then it's like they're nowhere close to what they were presented on NXT. I'll tell you that much.
Definitely. Next up is Akira Tozawa. So once again, the thing with WWE nowadays, WWE is booking like New Japan. Everybody's in a group. So let me just group these people together. Otis. Yeah, we already did Maxine. So yeah, Alpha Academy were more prominently featured early on in the year, of course, with Chad Gable in the group as their leader and coach. He was involved in the Intercontinental Championship scene. He got involved in the whole Sami Zayn lead up to WrestleMania. But after WrestleMania, after Sami Zayn beat Chad Gable in his first title defense, it was Chad Gable who turned heel, which really had a trickle down effect for the rest of Alpha Academy. They became more featured on Monday Night Raw as Chad Gable became a demanding, domineering coach for Alpha Academy, talking down to Otis, talking down to Akira Tozawa. We got to see more of their personality. The fans got behind them and rallied behind them. But really, it felt like WWE missed the peak of the storyline. Instead of having Otis finally attack Chad Gable, all he did was push him down, and that's how he kind of like became free of the Alpha Academy, and it led to Chad Gable getting shot in the head by the Wyatt Six. And then they tried to continue on with the Alpha Academy, but they just couldn't recapture the magic that was there in the spring and the summertime. They did recently get a victory over New Day, and Chad Gable also did recently tease that he's going to be finishing up his rivalry with Alpha Academy. But man, they feel like a missed opportunity. Like if it was up to me, I think like deserves better for Otis. Maybe like Akira Tozawa. I can see him going in mid, but yeah, if they're attached at the hip, then they both deserve better because that rivalry was hot in the spring and the summer.
Yeah, I think deserve better. I think it's fair just because of the storyline that was going on. I thought it could have gone places, but I think the problem was kind of like the Triple H effect, where Triple H gets praised for a lot of things, but one of his problems is that he drags things too long. This was one of the things that went too long, and by the time it happened, it just didn't reach its climax. And by the time it kind of did, it was just didn't really do Otis any favors. It's unfortunate, and then Chad, even though we did see Chad going with the Creed brothers, like we did see that, but then how everything has transpired is just like, oh, okay, all right, cool, sure, like that's how I take it. It's just, I think deserves better is fair because, I mean, Otis is very popular. He's very crowds behind him. And I think he's shown that for years. And I think that's why he still has a job now. It's just, I wish there was a little bit more with Otis. I think he's a little bit more deserving of certain things. I'm not saying world champion, but something like, don't make the man lose all the time.
Next up, we got here is the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. They started off 2024 in TNA wrestling with Alex Shelley being the TNA World Champion and Chris Sabin being the TNA X Division Champion. Alex Shelley dropped the title at Hard to Kill to Moose, while Chris Sabin dropped the X Division Championship to Mustafa Ali at No Surrender. From there, they had a couple of really good matches for TNA against the likes of The System, as well as, I believe, they faced the Grizzled Young Veterans as well. And then they left TNA in April. It was alleged in the spring that they were expected to sign with AEW, but the more months passed by, it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. And then in the summer, it was revealed that the Motor City Machine Guns had talks with WWE and were possibly heading over there. And we got more and more confirmation of that. And it became to fruition in the fall. They signed with WWE. They debut in October. They immediately get into a number one contenders tournament where they get a win over Los Garza and A-Town Down Under to move on to face DIY. They beat DIY to become the number one contenders. And instead of waiting any longer, in their second week on SmackDown in the company, the Bloodline come out. They say they want the title shot right there, right then. Motor City Machine Gun says they haven't just been waiting for 2 weeks. They've been waiting for 20 years. They want the title shot right then and there. And thanks to the OG Bloodline, it was the Motor City Machine Guns who become the WWE Tag Team Champions. They very miraculous victory in only your third match in the company. So it immediately showed that WWE had an investment in them, but very strange booking because it kind of was used as a catalyst to kind of reheat DIY more than kind of put them on the right path, because DIY and Motor City Machine Guns have been involved in a rivalry since then, which has led to the Motor City Machine Guns dropping the WWE Tag Team Champions to Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano in December on SmackDown. So a short reign WWE Tag Team Champions, but immediate push in between their time between TNA and WWE. They were all across the independent scene, Prestige Wrestling over on the West Coast. I know they did a couple of spots with Wrestling Revolver as well. So they were always busy throughout the year, even before coming to WWE. But that big push coming into the company really tells you where they see them at. So I would think, like, off of their year, I would say mid-card, all-star. What do you think?
I'm a lean with all-star just because of the stuff they did with TNA. They were, actually was a first-time world champion, and I thought he did a great job for somebody who was never expected to be a world champion. Yeah. He was great. And then, Chris Sabin, like his track record, like, he added another X Division to his belt.
10 times X Division champion.
10 times. That's crazy. Like, damn, that's a lot. And then, like they did some independent stuff. They were at Rev Pro, I believe, right? That was like their last show, like their last indie show, I believe. And then when it came to WWE, it was an immediate impact, right? They kind of treated them big deals. They won the titles within the third match, and then they did have a short reign, unfortunately. But to get the titles that quick after after their debut, kind of just tells you there's some value there. I just think the overall tag division, they just need to they need to be featured more. Like I've said before, they need to be featured on PLEs. I get you have 2 shows throughout the week, but if you want your tag teams to be serious, you want them to be presented, you could add another match for your PLEs. You could easily be a world tag team title match.
Next up, we got Andrade, who was the WWE Speed Champion. That's his biggest accomplishment for the year. Now, all jokes aside, he came back to the company in the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble matchup, making an immediate impact. He was also part of the tag team matchup, teaming up with Rey Mysterio against Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio, getting the win at WrestleMania 40. From there, Andrade went into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, had a strong showing there. And from there, it sprawled off into his most defining feud of his return to WWE, which has been with Carmelo Hayes. They had a best of 7 series from the summer throughout the fall. It led to both men being involved in the United States Championship scene. He had a very good matchup with LA Knight for the title in a singles match, and then they tore it up in a triple threat at Crown Jewel with LA Knight retaining the title. Andrade has been involved with the Bloodline ever since then, slightly feuding with them over the last few weeks on SmackDown. So he's been formerly featured. He's been featured more here than he was in AEW. So for all the talk early in the year that was like, oh, Andrade messed up for re-signing with WWE, I think that he made the right choice when you look at his overall 2024 in comparison to the 2-3 years he spent in AEW.
Yeah, I think I would say so. I just think with Andrade, he's kind of in a weird situation because we know how great of a worker he is in the ring, but then that's kind of just where it's at. He's never going to be that guy that's going to get that enormous push. I think that's just where he's at this point. I think himself kind of has to accept it. I mean, he's paying good money with WWE. You just kind of had to accept it at this point. I know when he came back, it was a little rough at the beginning. No, nothing on him, but the fact that they had him for 4 months and then he wrestled like 8 times, it was kind of like, bro, he's your worker. Why is he not wrestling? And then they found something for him with Carmelo Hayes. They did a series. I wasn't too fond of the outcome just because of what ended up happening. But he had some great matches. They had some great matches together. So I would Andrade. I'm in between mid card and kind of want to say all-star because I think he's still a great worker. They could still use him, and he could just put on great matches on TV. I think he's in that situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say mid card.
Yeah, I think
because he hasn't really been pushed enough to be an all-star.
Yeah, I think it's just Andrade, go out there, just have a banger of a match, and that's basically what we're getting with Andrade. He's just that kind of guy now.
Yeah. Then we have Chase U, who are over on the NXT brand. They came into this year. I believe they were still doing the feud with JC Jane, where Thea Hale was feuding with JC Jane. They were involved in that storyline. Then they got back into the tag team title scene. They tore it up in one of the best tag team matches of the year in all of WWE against Nathan Frazier and Axiom at Heatwave. They then had a rematch where Ridge Holland and Andre Chase won the NXT Tag Team Championships, but then they dropped the titles back to Fraxium at No Mercy. That led to Ridge Holland turning on Chase U. They were involved in this grudge feud with Ridge Holland to end off the end of the year, with Ridge Holland beating Andre Chase in an ambulance match at Halloween Havoc. Andre Chase asked for one more match, but Ridge Holland said he has to put up Chase U for the matchup that was a number 1 contenders match for the NXT Championship. And Ridge Holland, by hook or crook, laid out everyone in Chase U, including Andre Chase, with the Redeemer, to not only beat him and become number 1 contender, but to also end Chase U, which we haven't seen since.
Tragic.
Where do we think we put Chase U here?
Chase U, for NXT standards, I would kind of say mid card because they were presented a lot and they actually weren't too bad when they were presented. I mean, obviously, it's a comedy bit, but when they did work for their standards. They're presented a lot. They're presented like almost every night at NXT when they were stable. So that it means something. And then unfortunately, they lost to that bum, Rich Holland, and haven't been seen since.
Yeah, Rich Holland's still wearing the Chase U shirt in his render too on here. I forgot to put O'Reilly Osborne with Duke Hudson and Andre Chase, but I agree, mid card. Next we have Angel Garza. So let's put where's Berto at? Where are you, Berto? There you go, Berto. Los Garza here. Where is Santos at? Santos. Here comes
I
Santos.
just saw him. Yeah, I just saw him.
Let's put them all together. Okay, Legado del Fantasma, they started off the year feuding with the LWO. They were involved in that feud with Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. It led to a good series of matches between the two, and eventually the tag team matchup at WrestleMania 40, where Rey and Andrade beat Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. From there, though, Santos really couldn't find his footing as far as getting a consistent role on SmackDown TV. He would kind of be in and out, whether it was feuding with LA Knight to build up LA Knight before he moves on to the US Championship. And then once again, feuding with LA Knight once he won the US Championship. But he always came up short. He always lost any title matches or any big singles matches. It feels like that push that started at the end of 2023 when Santos Escobar turns heel, it died out pretty quick in 2024, and Legado del Fantasma were the biggest victims of that. So, where do you think we put them?
Dumbass is stable. Um, ugh.
I kind of want to put them with Elektra and mid.
Mid. Yeah. I think mid's a good. I would say mid Carter, but at the same time,
How about this? How about we compromise? Let's put Los Garza and mid. Let's put Santos and deserves better.
Oh, I think that's even better because I do believe he deserves better. They were teasing that heel turn, and then it finally happened, and then it was just kind of nothing. Nothing happened.
Nothing at all. It just kept him right where he was. Next up, we got Angelo Dawkins. Let's get Montez Ford over here so we could talk about the Street Profits. The Street Profits were around, and they always have good matches. They had a bunch of good matches. I don't remember any feuds really, but they tore it up against like DIY and the Bloodline. They had
I
that really fun three-way ladder match on SmackDown ahead of Bad Blood a couple of months ago. They had a really great matchup against DIY in the tag team title tournament before DIY won back the won the tag team titles. So they always are in good showings. They always have fun. We always have fun seeing them on TV. But as far as like storylines, other than them and Bobby Lashley versus the Final Testament, which we talked about earlier with the Final Testament, that was really their only major feud of 2024.
Yeah, and when you were mentioning like feuds, I was like, yeah, that was the only feud I remember, and unfortunately, that was the by default. No fault to the fellas at all. That was probably the worst match of WrestleMania Night 2. And it wasn't like terrible. It was just every other match was actually either decent to great, and they just fell victim to that. The Street Profits, they're in a weird spot because they have done a lot, but at the same time, it's kind of like maybe they should be doing more, or Montez Ford should be doing more, but then at the same time, it's like if Montez goes singles, Dawkins is going to be dead in the water. So
True. That is very true. I think they deserve better.
Yeah, I'm put both of them. I think they're great together. I know people have been waiting for a Montez Ford singles run. I'm not gonna say it's never gonna happen. It's just I think if you keep waiting on that, I think people are setting themselves up for failure. This is just not gonna happen. Like, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is true. Now let's do some maintenance here. Let's take care of these non-wrestlers or people that have already been fired by the company. So Baron Corbin, I'm looking at you. Contract not renewed. Who are you? I don't even know your name. So I don't want to put you in nigga not here because I don't even know who you are, but I'm just gonna put you in mid, Mr. I don't know. Booker T, the Fave Five. Oh, Oh, chuck a ducky quack quack moment of the night. And the old trick dash trick daddy. His ad libs for the Trick theme song makes him an all-star to me.
I think that might be his biggest contribution because it's sure as hell not praising AEW. I tell you that much.
Oh no. Grifter's got a grip. Grifter's got a grip, sir. Come on, he's got to make his money. Got to make his money outside this company. But yeah, the fade five. That's big man. I think he's found a good role on NXT where he could be his ridiculous self without like the eyes of the main people on it. Byron Saxon, I know you're here, but why? I'm thinking either mid or contract not renewed. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with mid. I don't mind Byron. That's the best thing I could say about him.
That's fair enough. Corey Graves, mid card. He's not as unlistenable as he was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean he's gotten better, but he just hasn't been what he was at NXT.
Yeah, he's never gonna. I don't think he's ever gonna reach that anymore. But mid card, just fine, solid. Skimming through the rest of these to see if we got any people that are fired. I don't know who you are, so the guy before this guy over here. He looks vaguely familiar. This guy doesn't even look like he works here, so I'm gonna put him in contract not renewed. Joe Testator. I think he's done a really good job. I would put him in all-star.
All-star. He was, you know what it was with I was kind of like skeptical about him because, you know, he does come from ESPN. Usually that's not usually the best transition. But you could tell he's kind of a fan. He does his homework. I always appreciate stuff like that. The only thing, which he has gotten better at, the only thing I was kind of annoyed with at the beginning was like he would project his voice at times. He doesn't need to project his voice. When I was just like, bro, like you're not in like opera. Like, what are you doing? But then when I noticed about him, the high spots, he's actually really good at. Like anything that's like memorable, he's actually really good. Like the whole Drew McIntyre, the beads, that doesn't come off as good without him, in my opinion, because he made it like dramatic. Like, oh, he ripped, like he made it good. He's really good at those spots. So All-Star is a good spot. And I think he started pretty, right? Like mid-year?
Yeah, like when he first couple of weeks, he was like mid card, but he's grown into it so far.
Yeah, I do feel like
Michael Cole, I think, is a main event.
Yes, Michael Cole, and I think that's kind of grandfathered at this point. Even though there are times, I think I kind of like Michael Cole more last year, this year, to be honest with you, because I think this year he was kind of more annoying than usual. Kind of felt like he was a culture vulture at times, and that kind of like irritated me.
When they were in Atlanta, yeah, he was culture.
That was the worst one. And then he congratulated the Dodgers. He's like, congratulations, saying Kershaw. That pissed me off. Not because it was the Dodgers, but I'm like, you congratulated the motherfucker who wasn't even on the World Series roster. He didn't play in the playoffs, and you congratulating him. Fuck you, Michael Cole.
Then we got is that Vic Joseph? No, that's not Vic Joseph. I know him. Oh, that's Mike Rome. Mike Rome, mid card.
Yeah, I forgot he was still
there. He got downgraded to NXT. I don't know if he deserves better, but mid card is the reason why. Just keep him there. Mid card for him. Then we got who do we got here, or who's been fired? We got Robert Stone, mid.
Yeah. I was like, he still got a job.
Hey,
he got kids, so good for him.
As long as he still got a job. Then we have Nick Aldis, SmackDown General Manager.
Main eventer. Oh,
you think main event? Goddamn. Like, goddamn. I would say all-star. I mean, He is.
All Star is fair. All Star is fair. I said main event because compared to him and Adam Pearce, oh man, he's so much better.
He is so much better. But All Star is fair.
All Star is good. He's in a good spot. I like the Nick Aldis.
He's good in the role for sure. Then we have we should have just put Paul Ellering with the Authors of Pain. So let's just do that.
He doesn't fucking speak.
He doesn't do anything, so he should just be in mid with his crew.
he doesn't speak. That's his best attribute. Like that's his best contribution, and you took it off of him.
Then we got Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was really annoying, really fucking annoying. He went from like 2020 to 2022. Pat McAfee, I would have been the one making the argument for him in main event. I think to be fair, looking back on it, he was probably an all-star. 2023, Pat McAfee was probably a mid-card, and now he's at he's hovering between mid-card and mid. What do you think? I'm only gonna say mid-card because they do push him enough, and he can't. There are times that he is entertaining or he is funny, but it's just like the balance act with when he's not.
I'm gonna say mid card because I think he's still better than mid. The problem with Pat McAfee is that I kind of noticed with him is that he's not evolving. He's not elevating himself. You know what I mean? Like Michael Cole kind of elevated himself. All those guys kind of have, and he's kind of just been the same. Like especially in commentary, and there's times he does fumble, and he fumbles like pretty badly. It's not like he doesn't get unnoticed because he's entertaining. So what he's doing, he's getting away with it. But then, like for example, Saturday Night Main Event, Jesse Ventura said something to him, and that shit went completely over his head. Like, I'm like, oh boy, this guy's struggling. Like, fuck. But mid card, I think, yeah, they present him enough that it's like, hey, we got Pat coming back. So I think that's fair. And then Netflix wants him, so yeah.
Yeah, I gotta put him somewhere, but yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. There's times where he's not even in mid card. He is mid as fuck. Paul Heyman.
Come on.
WrestleMania headliner.
Come on.
WrestleMania headliner.
Come on, you got to. Even I could say that, even though kind of Paul Heyman kind of does like annoy me. Not on TV, just the outside stuff, but he's done enough that is like, yeah. I mean, he managed Tribal Chief, so
Exactly. That is enough to get you in WrestleMania. I don't even know if Tribal Chief, if the OTC will get into WrestleMania headliner level, but Paul Heyman should because he was around when even Roman Reigns wasn't around. But yeah, his work, whether it was with the Cody feud, whether it was his facial expressions with the different stuff with The Rock leading up to WrestleMania, whether it was, I think his best work was post WrestleMania though. Like his whole facial expression and the takeover of Solo Sikoa of the bloodline and how he reacted to it, sold it and made it the most important thing in WWE. So Paul Heyman, for that alone, is a WrestleMania headline.
Deserving.
Indeed. But I think that is most of the non-wrestlers. Skimming through here. I don't know you. I know you used to do some stuff like a studio show of some sorts, but you're not here anymore. So let's just put you in not here. Then we have Titus O'Neil. Not here.
He never here.
That nigga's not here ever. He's all WWE Hall of Famer, so you don't need to be here, I guess. Then we have Vic Joseph. I like Vic. I think Vic, I'm gonna honestly, you know what I'm gonna say? Vic deserves better. Because why are you hiring someone from ESPN when Vic Joseph has probably been the best play-by-play guy overall over the last couple of years?
I agree with that. The only thing I would say about Vic Joseph is that sometimes he has that like 2020 ish Michael Cole where sometimes he tends to repeat himself. Where it gets to a point, it's just like, guy, we get it. NXT was viewed this many times. We get it, bro.
Well, Michael Cole was his teacher, so that's understandable.
Yeah, and I'm saying, and that's why I'm like, he has to like take a serum and kind of like snap out of it. But he actually is really good at his job, and I've been on record to say that he's better than Pat McAfee. So,
yeah, no doubt there. Then we have Wade Barrett, main event.
He's really fucking good. I think he's in a great the position for him is great. He doesn't need to wrestle again.
Yeah.
He was a decent he wasn't a bad wrestler. It's just I think he found his calling in the business.
Yeah. Like just alone his performance at Clash at the Castle in selling how outraged he was that Punk screwed Drew McIntyre. That was one of the all-time best performances by a commentator I think I've ever seen.
And then the way he calmed down Drew, he's just not worth like great shit by him.
Yeah, Wade deserves to be in the main event. Lord Regal, you're never here. You're only here when you want to talk to your son. So.
His son's barely shown on TV.
Let's put you in nigga not here. And then finally, we have Paul Triple H Levesque, the creator of all things WWE. He is the executive producer, the COO, the head of creative. He birthed a child on his own. He doesn't need any hope of anything, and he is great at everything he does. And if it wasn't for him not being able to see color, I would say WrestleMania headliner. But because he can't see color, I'll say all-star or main event. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with main event.
Because that's what we do. That's what we do.
Like he's turned a lot of shit around. I just think, and I noticed this on social media. People are getting kind of like tired with like him putting himself first, and I kind of noticed that with the Netflix commercial, like the Netflix thing where it's just him coming out of it's him coming out. I'm like, okay, I'm not surprised. I'm like, yeah, he makes shit about himself, but the fact that you put it that broadly and people are getting like kind of like a little tired of it. He probably needs to start reading the room as like, bro, like we get it, like we know your position.
This is who he is.
Like, yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah,
this is who he's been for the past 2-3 decades.
Yeah, and that's crazy because I'm just like, well, you guys just noticed this now? Like, I've been sick of it.
Like, what are we talking about? He's been this way for 3 decades. Don't act like it's brand new. He's been doing this.
Shit, Netflix it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse.
Yeah, it's only gonna get worse. He's gonna start off the first episode of Netflix. We're gonna have the Triple H documentary, how he saved WWE. Like, it's gonna be ridiculous. Here we go. I think that is all for our maintenance as far as non-wrestlers. We have this guy, I think it's from WWE, The Bump.
Is that the one that got let go? He's not even there.
I don't know. He isn't? All right, then you're in here.
Yeah, I think that's him. That's the guy that does the stuff for AEW now. That looks like him. I could be wrong.
No. That's Matt
not him?
Camp. Matt Camp.
Oh, all right. So you know who that is. All right. I don't know.
I know he's from The Bump. I know he's the other guy that hosts The Bump that did with Matt Camp. But hey, sorry, brother. No, you know what? I'm gonna be like, you're not here because The Bump got canceled. So
yeah, because
in case you still have a job, I don't want to wish that upon you, sir. Then okay, I think that is all. Then I can go through a couple of people that I don't have much to say about. Bobby Roode, he didn't do anything. Nigga, you're not here. You are here, but you're backstage. So let's just.
He got cleared too, but I don't think he's gonna wrestle again as long as he's in WWE. He's not gonna wrestle again.
Nah. Then we have some NXT Dante Chen, who's just on level up, so there's not much for me to say about him. So you're gonna just go in mid. All right, Dante Chen. Sorry. Then we have skimming through here. I don't know you, Bernal. Don't tell me. Don't ask me why I know that. You're not. You're not here. He's injured. He's injured right now. So.
Yeah.
Then we have who else do we have? I'm just
Odyssey Jones right there. Odyssey Jones, is that him?
Oh, where's Odyssey? Oh yeah, that is Odyssey Jones.
He's not even there.
I was thinking that's Mark Henry this entire time. Oh. He needs to go at the top of contract not renewed. How did he fuck up the bag like that?
Damn. And it was that Twitter. It was that Twitter account. So. And the sad part about it,
this dude got called up in 2023, did not get used throughout 2023. Then he gets called up again in 2024 draft, and then he finally gets used as a replacement for Big E, which really started all the drama in the New Day. With the New Day in 2024, he was kind of the backup replacement for Big E against Final Testament. They beat Final Testament. They ended their feud with Final Testament, and then he was gone. Because he apparently had some drama outside, domestic violence, and been arrested and stuff like that, and then quietly got released from the company.
Yeah, and unfortunately to this day, we don't know if it was real or not, because even the account itself was kind of like, it was borderline like, is this a burner account or is this real? They really didn't show no real proof either, and it's unfortunate all around. If it's true, I mean, he got what he deserved. If it's not true, I hope he takes the right steps to, fix that shit.
Yeah, gotta fix it. Now we're going through.
Omos is never there.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, now we're gonna go through the people that I don't have anything to say about because Omos is not here. So let's just put him in. Niggas not here.
He's like more of an ambassador now. Like that's basically what they've been using him for. But he don't wrestle.
We might have to make a whole new tab for Apollo Crews because he's in catering. But yeah, we'll just put him in mid for now. Mid is also catering. These are a whole bunch of people that are very, very sparingly used. So we'll just put Apollo Crews in there. He was in a tag team with Baron Corbin earlier this year, but that's it. That's all he did. That's all he did this year. He was in a tag team. That's it. I want to put a couple of tag teams together as I see them separated here. Then we'll got over here. Then I'm trying to see if we have anyone else who is just not even used that we don't have to even waste time. Oh, Tyler Bate, you're injured, so let's just put your nigga not here.
No, but I mean he is injured though.
Yeah, he's injured. He's injured. We could change it to niggas always hurt but there's some people who just got pregnant, so they're not really hurt. Meiko Satomura, you were a part of the Japanese tour, but nigga, you're not here either. So let's just put your niggas out here. Then we got. I think that is all. I think everybody else here, everyone else left here, has been somewhat active. Nope, Noam Dar, you were injured. You got injured like in like May.
Oh, that's why I haven't seen him.
Yeah. Okay. Now I think that it is fairly decent as in regards to.
Yeah, if anybody comes up, we just put them in the right.
Yeah, we'll just put them in there very quickly. We have Ashanti Diadonis. He's in an awful romantic storyline with Carmen Petrovic. So let's put him right next to Carmen Petrovic in mid, where this storyline.
Mid. I agree. Mid.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It's one of the worst storylines I've seen on wrestling television. I
don't know what they're fucking thinking. It's HBK. It's H-fucking-BK.
So bad. Why isn't Sean up here? We have Triple H up here. Why isn't Sean answering for his crimes?
I even kind of like I did like a Q&A on my Instagram, and somebody wasn't too fond of what I said about HBK, and I was just like, bro, it's my opinion, but I don't give a fuck how you feel.
He's like, I don't give a fuck. Who gives a fuck what you think? He's not that good. Then we got Austin Theory. So where's Grayson Waller? Let's just put him.
Where is Grayson Waller? He's like a generic guy
Oh,
too.
there
So
you
it's kind
go.
of hard. Oh, you found him.
Yeah,
I was talking that shit right now too.
I know. I heard you. We got A-Town Down Under. I will give them credit because they found the role. They are smart aleck, annoying heels who get beat up by the top baby faces in the company or regardless of brand. They started off the year. They were in like a mini feud with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens where they just got their ass kicked for a bit. They got their ass kicked by Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on the way to WrestleMania. Then they were involved in the WrestleMania six-way ladder match where they became the WWE Tag Team Champions on SmackDown. They went into a feud with DIY for a couple of months before dropping the titles to them in the summer. From there, they just went back to their role as annoying heels to people higher up on the card than them. So they just get their ass kicked. Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, did not matter. They just got their ass kicked, came in, got their ass kicked. They have teased on numerous occasions that they have some type of dissension with Grayson Waller always kind of using Austin Theory as his meat shield and whenever he's in danger of any kind. And that is one of the main reasons which led to their loss of the tag team titles. But they won the tag team titles. They're always pretty regularly featured. I think they're mid card.
Mid card is a good spot. They do their job, so I mean,
yeah, they do their job. They're here what they're supposed to be here for. They're more of like a long term version of Miz and John Morrison.
That's true. That's why I'm laughing.
Then we'll go back down here and we have the NXT Tag Team Champions,
This is pretty
Axiom
easy.
and Nathan Frazier. Fraxium, the best tag team in all of WWE. They were involved in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, where they came up short in the semifinals in an excellent matchup against the Wolf Dogs, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. After losing there, and Wolf Dogs won the tag team championships after winning the Dusty Classic. They challenged the Wolf Dogs at Stand and Deliver in another awesome matchup coming up short. But they got their rematch on the NXT following Stand and Deliver and finally got the job done, winning the NXT Tag Team Championships, and then went on a blazing run with the titles, putting on Barn Burners at Battleground against the OC, on NXT television against various amount of the younger teams out there, whether it be Aegis Inoue and Malik Blade or Hank and Tank, it did not matter. They've had that barn burner that I mentioned earlier with Chase U at Heatwave, another great matchup at No Mercy as well. They tore it up on TV against the Rascals. They had 6-man tag team matches that were stunning to watch as well. They had some great singles matches and singles performances as well. They had a star-making performance for No Quarter Catch Crew, Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights at Deadline. It did not matter who they were up against. Nathan Frazier and Axiom proved they were not only the best tag team in NXT, the best tag team in WWE, but quite possibly the best tag team in all of wrestling. What do you think Fraxium should be? Are you
Between
muted?
main event, I want to say between main event and WrestleMania main event, because I think they're that good.
Yeah, I think the only thing kind of holding them back, I would say, like, they probably are right next to like Roxanne with the year that they had. Is that Roxanne though, as NXT Women's Champion, she is positioned as like a top star. I don't
Yeah,
know if they
she's
are
pushed as like an
positioned.
8. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're positioned as a top star. They are positioned as the premier tag team, but the NXT tag team titles, despite headlining a couple of episodes, they never feel like a headline type of matchup, like a headline. And none of the teams are like on their level. Like the gap between them and everybody else is kind of
It's too
ridiculous.
far. It's
They
so far apart.
didn't do the republishing that they did with the women's division towards the end of the year with the tag
Yeah.
teams.
And I think maybe part of it too, what kind of does hurt them is maybe not having more Motor City Machine Guns there, because regardless of what WWE wants to say, we all know they were scheduled to be in NXT. Last minute change happened for obvious reasons, and WWE is not going to admit to that, because if they admit to that, then they could get legally in trouble. So they're not going to do it. So I think that's part of it. But I mean, overall, I mean, they've had a fucking great year, and it's one of those things where it's like you want to say, oh yeah, I can't wait to they get called up to the main roster, but at the same time, you know, they'll fall in that same category as like what I've been saying about the tag teams, unfortunately. And I'm like, it's kind of like I think NXT is a good spot for them. Eventually they'll get called up, but I mean, yeah, they've had a fantastic year. I can't. Somebody like myself who doesn't like NXT that much could even admit that they've had some great matches, and yeah, they put in the work. I wish they were like in black and gold. That's what I wish. Like that would have been crazy.
Yeah, they're just like light years faster than pretty much everybody else on the roster. But like, I hope they eventually do get called up as a tag team, because I think having tag teams like them, the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, Street Profits, that's how you turn around this tag team division.
Yeah,
it needs to.
It's just the effort. It's just like you could have fans, but it needs to mean something. And you know, we're not getting Lucha Bros for a while, so yeah.
Very true. Next, we have Big E. I'm sorry, Big E. Even though you had one of the more memorable heel turns of the year, you're not here. You're not. Even though you are on the pre-show, you're not.
Because he broke his neck. That's what happened.
You're not here. You abandoned us. You abandoned us.
Oh, damn.
Next, we have Braun Strowman. I feel like he's a nigga not here. Like, was he here? Like, was he? I don't know. Like, was it? Am I missing something? Was he like? Did he like come back in like the summer, and then he was in like a mini feud with Judgment Day on TV for a while.
Yeah.
Then from there he went into the feud with Bronson Reed, which was kind of like the highlight of his whole entire year, where they were like the spectacle on Monday Night Raw. But I felt like he wasn't here most of the year.
I feel like he wasn't here most of the year, but at the same time, I kind of do feel like every time he does come back, they kind of do put him in meaningful spots on TV. And that's like with Braun Strowman, that's kind of like a good spot for him, like when he gets presented. And then, you know, he had that match with Bronson Reed, obviously like his best match in a long time. Then he got injured. So
yeah. I would say if we're just judging him on his year, I would say mid-card, top of mid-card.
I would say mid-card is a good spot because, again, like he's had memorable moments. And I do feel like they have used them like in a way that you kind of have to use Braun Strowman, if that makes any sense. Every time he comes back, like he came back and he squashed Carmelo. I mean, unfortunately, it was against Carmelo Hayes. He squashed him. I mean,
it is what it is. It's Carmelo. We're gonna have to deal with that. Braun Breaker. Ooh. He started off the year aligning with Baron Corbin to create the Wolf Dogs. They became a revelation for the NXT Tag Team division as the Odd Couple Tag Team, winning the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and then parlaying that into NXT Tag Team Championship Gold. They had an awesome series of matches with Fraxium before dropping the NXT Tag Team Championships to Nathan Frazier and Axiom, before being called up officially to the main roster. Braun Breaker was called up to Monday Night Raw after a slow start after he was initially called up to SmackDown, but then got drafted to Monday Night Raw in the draft. he got the big push upon being re-debuted on Monday Night Raw. He destroyed some jobber, breaking his head with a steel chair against the steel steps. They started treating him like an absolute monster on television. He's destroying Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov backstage. He beat Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov in singles competition, took out Ricochet, wrote him off of WWE television completely. He beat the hell out of Ilya Dragunov before becoming the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. He came up short against Sami Zayn at Money in the Bank, but eventually won the gold at SummerSlam, becoming the Intercontinental Champion. But he found himself in a feud with Jey Uso, where Jey Uso was able to capture the title from Braun Breaker. Great matches with both Jey and Sami in between all of that. Eventually had another great matchup against Jey Uso where he regained the Intercontinental Championship thanks in large part to the Bloodline. Had that incredible moment with the crowd exploding for him staring down with Jacob Fatu. He's had that a tremendous bout at Survivor Series, the triple threat match with Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus. Had a bunch of great matches on television with Dragunov, with Sheamus, with Kaiser. So, man, like Braun Breaker, he's been great on the main roster. He was great on NXT. I think he's like all-star level for now, but he's like top of all-star pushing to the main event.
All-star is a good spot for him. He's done a lot this year, and I think he kind of has been proving himself a lot that not only I could see him as a future world champion, but I actually see him being the best Steiner in general.
Wow, that says a lot. That says a
lot. He's good. Very explosive. Very athletic. Moves super fast. The only thing I would say, and I think I'll eventually get there, is maybe the talking. Maybe the talking maybe needs a little bit more polishing, but it's not bad for what it is. He's had a great year. 2-time IC champion. He keeps dominating. It's kind of what we wanted for him in the main roster, and he's been doing it. So we can't really complain about that.
Yep. So Braun's in the All-Star reigns. Then we got, I believe this is Lucian Price or Bronco Nima. All right, we'll just put OTM together. OTM, NXT tag team. They have matches. They're in a group with Jada Parker, so they look good because they're next to Jada Parker. But yeah,
I didn't even know Jada Parker had 2 guys for her.
Out the mud. Not all the way. Bronson Reed had a breakout year.
This is a good one.
In 2024, he always was able to kind of stand out in different TV matches, whether it be against like your Sami Zayn, your Chad Gables, and whatnot. But he wasn't really able to kind of find his footing on a main storyline until the summer, until the August 5th edition of Monday Night Raw, where he told Adam Pearce that he was going to make a statement, and he did just that by attacking Seth Rollins and delivering 6 massive tsunamis that basically rocked the wrestling world and made everyone pay attention to Bronson Reed. He became a highlight of Monday Night Raw every single week, whether it was delivering 5 tsunamis to R-Truth or his memorable brawls with Braun Strowman, that last Monster Standing matchup that really kind of was his highlight bout of the year on Monday Night Raw. He picked up a victory over Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw upon his return after losing to Seth at Crown Jewel. He was a part of the men's War Games matchup on Team The New Bloodline. Unfortunately, in that match, he did the tsunami off the top of the steel cage, breaking his ankle in the process. So he may miss WrestleMania this year, but this is by a country mile the best year of Bronson Reed in WWE since he signed. Where do you think he lands?
I'm actually between All-Star and main eventer. I think maybe a little bit more All-Star just because although he's been presented way better than anybody expected. He has had some losses that are just like, man, could have won this time or that time. But that's about it for him. But then also, it kind of feels like something always happens to stop his momentum. Like he had the COVID thing that kind of stopped his momentum, and then he came back, didn't really affect him that much. But then, you know, he had one of the biggest spots in the War Games match, and then unfortunately he broke his ankle. So now he's gonna be out a few months, unfortunately. But he had a fucking great year. Like he proved himself more than capable of being that guy. You know, I can't praise the guy enough.
Yeah, great year for Bronson Reed. Hopefully, once he's back, he can continue that momentum. We got Brooks Jensen. He broke up with Josh Briggs and he aligned with Sean Spears. Mid.
Yeah, because I was just like, yeah.
That's all they did. That's all I remember. Let's put all of the American-made stable together because we could just talk about them in one. I touched on plenty of Chad Gable stuff, talking about all the other people between our two videos. But Chad Gable started off the year getting himself back into title contention, into the Intercontinental Championship scene. He came up short to Sami Zayn in the gauntlet to become the number one contender ahead of WrestleMania. Sami Zayn went on to win at WrestleMania, thanks in large part to Chad Gable becoming a coach to him, teaching him everything that he needed to beat Gunther at WrestleMania, which Sami did. Sami then gave the first shot at the title to Chad Gable, which they faced in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, with Gable coming up just short. It was one of the best WWE TV matches of the year. Chad Gable took that frustration from the loss and snapped, turning heel, attacking Sami Zayn, beating him down right in front of his family. He became a domineering coach to the Alpha Academy, drawing the ire of the fans as well as each and every member, Maxine Dupree, Akira Tozawa, and Otis. But all the while he was getting on their nerves, he was gaining the favor of the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. So when he finally broke off with Alpha Academy after Otis snapped and pushed him down, he decided to leave them behind and join up with the Creeds and Ivy Nile to create American Made. They got into a rivalry with the Wyatt Six, which featured the Wyatt Six getting 3 straight victories against them. American Made hasn't let that stop them. They've been featured on Monday Night Raw, whether it's been in mini feuds against LWO or whether it's on SmackDown, where Chad Gable made an appearance to confront Cody Rhodes and put on a banger of a matchup against him. Chad Gable re-signed with WWE this year as well. And definitely this feels like the best year as far as Chad Gable as a single star. This feels like the most exposure, the most TV time that he has gotten. And he was one of the best heel characters during like the spring and the summer this year when he was prominently featured. So where do you think they land as a group? Alpha American Made, or do you think Gable's ahead of them, up a tier? Where do you think all 3 guys land?
I kind of want to say deserves better for all 3 of them because the Creed brothers, I mean, at this point, honestly, they should have been tag champions, especially when they had like that little run where they're like, oh my God, they presented well. And then it kind of just went nowhere. Chad Gable, we know what he's capable of. I think he has the mic skills. He's gotten way better at it. He obviously has the ring work. At the same time, it's a weird thing because he resigned. We thought he will win the IC title based off of that. He's gotten way further off of that. Then they put them in, they put him with American Made, which we kind of knew was happening. We thought it would be something great. We thought this was like a great fit. And then they completely just lose the feud to the Wyatt Six. It was a clean sweep. And, now they're trying to do something again. And, Chad's getting back into things. He also had a great match with Dragon Lee on Raw. That was a fantastic match. But at the same time, I think Chad's been long enough in the company that I'm like, bro, he could just get a fucking mid-card title. It should have happened by now. So I think deserves better.
Yeah, that seems like the right spot for them for sure. Let's talk about the entire bunch of gang members who hang out in a clubhouse and lose all the goddamn time. Yes, I am talking about the Judgment Day. Finn Balor, Carlito, JD McDonough, Dominic Mysterio. The Judgment Day, of course, started off this year with the full Judgment Day, the original Judgment Day that had Finn Balor and Damian Priest as your undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. They were involved in the highly entertaining storyline and feud with R-Truth, which led to Truth reuniting with The Miz to fight and combat the Judgment Day after they denied his entry into the group on several occasions. It eventually led to Awesome Truth winning the Raw Tag Team titles, the Judgment Day losing all their Tag Team gold, but of course, Damian Priest went on to win the Money in the Bank, and that became kind of the focus for the Judgment Day, helping Priest hold on to the gold after Rhea Ripley went down with injury and they had to drop the Women's World Tag Team titles. The Judgment Day became the focus of Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania and into the summer. Whether it was the dissension with Damian Priest wanting to do things on his own away from the Judgment Day, whether it was Carlito, who came over to Monday Night Raw in the draft and started hanging out in the clubhouse thanks to Dirty Dominic Mysterio, Dom flirting with Liv Morgan and seemingly being seduced away from Rhea Ripley in the process, Liv trying to seduce the Judgment Day to her side at the same time, helping Finn and JD win the World Tag Team Championships. They did not have the best run with the World Tag Team Championships, holding it for 70 days without defending the titles. Eventually do defend the titles against the New Day, but they wound up dropping the titles by the end of the year to the War Raiders, thanks in large part to their rivalry with Damian Priest, which has become the bane of their existence, really. They lost at Bash in Berlin to Priest and Ripley. They lost to Ripley by disqualification at Bad Blood. Also at Bad Blood, Damian Priest beat Finn Balor. Finn Balor did get a measure of revenge by costing Priest the World Heavyweight Championship at Survivor Series, but then both men came up short against Gunther at Saturday night's main event. So it's been an up and down year as far as Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio, still one of the most hated characters in all of WWE. We've had the rumors that Carlito might disband from the group and might get a singles push. So a lot of things going every which way. There've been a lot of dissension as of late between Finn and Dirty Dom, as well as Dirty Dom and Liv with Finn as well. So where do you think each of these members belong on our tier list here?
This was kind of interesting because I think Carlito himself is just mid. I think his run has been mid. It's been mid as fuck.
Yes, he can't even talk anymore because he makes fun of Japanese women who he thinks are speaking Chinese.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh boy! Yeah. That's kind of sad when that's your highlight. As far as that, JD McDonough, I think, is also mid. He's just a bump guy. Yeah, that's yeah. Finn, as much as I called him a bum, Finn kind of does deserve better.
I was right there with you. He deserves so much better. Like, it's ridiculous how they book and treat Finn.
At this point, it's like, bro, get the guy to fucking bone at least. Like, if you want somebody like myself to stop talking shit, you gotta do that. You gotta come on, at this point. And then Dominic Mysterio, I kind of want to say All-Star for Dominic.
I'm actually right there with you as well. Dirty Dom, just his whole role in the Liv and Rhea storyline, he looks like a kingmaker because Rhea went to another level when she got paired up with him, and so has Liv. So he looks like a fucking kingmaker at this point.
Yeah. So I'm All-Star, and I've been critical on Dom, but at the same time, I gotta give credit when it's due, and I think All-Star is a good spot for him because, like you said, he's been presented like, even though he's kind of presented like a cuck. It's worked out. It's worked out. Um, and like you said, him pairing with Rhea did elevate Rhea, but now because she's basically feuding with him and Liv, it's even elevated Rhea even more. So
Yeah.
he's kind of like been part of Rhea's success. So I mean,
Yes. He's been a big part of it for sure. I
so
agree.
yeah, I think I think we did good on that. I think two mids, one deserves better, one all-star. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I found someone else who's a nigga not here. Cedric Alexander, they put you on NXT. So that's how much you weren't here. So I just put him there already. I want to put Joaquin Wild with Cruz del Toro and Dragon Lee here. Let's put the LWO together. Save us some time with them. Where's Ray? Oh, I was about to say, where's Ray at? Carmelo Hayes. He's had an interesting year as well because he started off the year on the NXT brand. Him and Trick Williams made it to the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. They came up short in the finals, but then he was in Trick Williams' corner when he faced Ilya Dragunov in one of the best NXT matches of the year. Trick came up short to Ilya, but the post match is what everybody was talking about after the show, as Trick Williams was despondent after losing. But it was Carmelo Hayes who put the final nail in the coffin and the knife in the back of Trick, turning on him, revealing that he was the one that attacked Trick all the way back in October. And now he was revealing his true intentions. He wanted to keep his best friend under him. It became one of the hottest feuds in all of WWE heading into WrestleMania weekend. The two men did battle in the main event of Stand and Deliver, with Trick Williams beating Carmelo Hayes. Trick got a second win over Carmelo inside of the steel cage on NXT TV to become the number one contender. From there, Carmelo Hayes was a first-round draft pick for Friday Night SmackDown in the WWE draft, and that gave him a big head and some cockiness that he is still using to this day. On his first night on SmackDown, he lost in singles competition in the main event against the WWE champion Cody Rhodes. He got into the King of the Ring tournament, getting a win over Baron Corbin, but came up just short against Randy Orton. He then got into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. He had a standout performance there, especially his exchanges with Andrade, which led to our best of 7 with Andrade, which really was the highlight of his year. He mixed it up with LA Knight for the United States Championship, having a good match in singles competition, and the aforementioned banger that they had at Crown Jewel in the triple threat with Andrade. And Carmelo ends off the year in now a mini feud with Braun Strowman. So, not the best end to the year, but he's been active throughout the year. I think that he's like a top of the mid card type guy based on where they've positioned him on the main roster. What do you think?
I would say mid card. I think mid card. I was actually gonna say between mid card and deserves better because I kind of do believe he deserves better. He's shown now. He's had some great matches. I think him and Cody have great chemistry. Him and Andrade clearly have great chemistry. I think Carmelo has shown enough that he's one of the best workers in the company. I knew that myself. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I did scout Carmelo Hayes myself, Christian Casanova. So I knew how good he is. Like I know the kid is great. And if he's motivated, he's gonna always show out. But I think mid card is a good spot because again, he's had some great matches, and I think he's shown he's a good performer. I just want them to kind of elevate him a little bit more. I think he's deserving of it. Maybe that's me kind of being biased. I can admit that, but he shouldn't have been squashed to Braun Strowman at least. Like, goddamn. But that's just me.
That's fair. I'll put Andrade next to him. They're like
ironically right next to each other.
Next we got Tony D and the family. Tony D and the family, they've been involved in a lot of family business, you know. They take care of the Bumballoos and the Bubba the Duns and all of that and the good stuff. And Tony D'Angelo, he moved up. He started getting the singles competition, and he had a good matchup with the Ilya the Dragunov at the Stand and Deliver. And then he went into the Heritage Cup, and he won the Heritage Cup Championship from the Charlie the Dempsey and the No Quarter the Catch Crew. The No Quarter the Catch Crew wanted to copy the D'Angelo family. They were feuding with them for a while, and they took care. They threw what's his name? The Damon Stevenson and whatever Damon Kemp in the river and stuff. And then after he lost the Heritage Cup, Tony D decided he wanted some more singles gold. So he went and stepped up to NXT North American Champion Obafemi. At No Mercy, he came up short against Obafemi, but that gave him a crisis of confidence. So they told the Rocky 3 story of him getting his confidence back, training, getting the love and support of his family to come back and challenge Obafemi again in St. Louis, getting the win, becoming NXT North American Champion, which he still is to this day, despite beating Obafemi at Halloween Havoc in the Tables, Ladders, and Scares matchup. He has a title defense over Brooks Jensen as well as Sean Spears. He's currently involved in a storyline and feud with Sean Spears and his new crew, Tony D and the family. Where do you think they land?
Damn, he did a lot this year. Especially, I don't know. I've never been like too big on him, more so because of the fake Italian accent that kind of just like throws me off. But he's done a lot, and right, I think he's the one. Didn't Obafemi had like a winning streak, and he's the one that ended that.
Yeah.
I think that's higher than mid card. I mean, you kind of do that. That's kind of.
I think he's like top of mid card.
Yeah, I think he's like
top of mid card.
I think he's like borderline all star and then mid card. I think he's like right there. I think he's in the cusp because of the kind of year he had, like the Heritage Cup, North American champion. That's a lot for a guy that kind of had low expectations.
Yeah, he's literally like the last vestiges of the original 2.0 that's still left in NXT.
Yeah, and I mean it's good for him. He's been putting in the work. I know he had like a acting gig too, so I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, he's doing good. He's doing good.
Yeah, and Luca and Stacks, you can go into mid.
Mid.
The rest of it fine. With the rest of the NXT tag teams and Adriana Rizzo. So you got some family over there. Got some family in the mid. Let's put you with your family. Let's put her right in the middle of you two guys. There you go. See, keep the family together. Next we got let's put another group together. We got Charlie Dempsey here. Then where's the rest of this crew? Miles Bourne and Tavion Heiss, which is better known as No Quarter Catch Crew. They've been mostly involved in the Heritage Cup scene. Charlie Dempsey started off the year, I believe he got the win to become the Heritage Cup champion earlier this year. He held on to the cup until he lost it to Tony D'Angelo. He eventually won it back from Tony D'Angelo. The No Quarter Catch Crew got a lot of TV time as far as like backstage segments, whether it was kind of getting rid of Damian Kemp, where they threw him and had him sleep with the fishes, whether it was recruiting Tavion Heights into the group, the former Olympian, whether it was recruiting Ren Sinclair into the group, which has really gave them more personality and more charm to them as well. Their interactions with William Regal also stand out. Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights had a star-making performance against Fraxium at NXT Deadline, which makes them feel like the head candidate to be the ones that finally do dethrone Axiom and Nathan Frazier for the NXT Tag Team Championships. So a real good year as far as the North Quarter Catch Crew as a group getting more prominent on the NXT brand. Where do you think these guys land?
I would say mid-card.
I agree there. Charlie Dempsey,
because
I think
Charlie
Charlie
Dempsey is
Dempsey.
not bad. Yeah, he's not bad. But then also he's kind of been like, in a way, he's kind of been like their workhorse outside because he did make, he went all, he went to pro Japan wrestling.
All
Um,
Japan
yeah, all
Wrestling,
Japan. Yeah, all
GCW, TNA.
like he's like kind of their guy. They've been going, they like their go-to guy is like, all right, we're gonna have partnership with this brand. We want you to go over here, and he has some good matches. Like I know, like All Pro. I actually watched that match. It was actually a really good match. Better than it kind of had any business being. Um, and then the GCW stuff. He's always done well in that kind of environment. So I mean, I think it's one of those things where he was kind of making more appearances outside of WWE than in WWE, and now like he's been kind of presented a little bit more. But I think mid card is a good spot. And then these two guys, they had the match recently, right? Deadline, right? I
Yeah.
believe, right? And that was a good match. That was a great match. I mean, granted, they faced the best tag team in the company, but it was a good match.
I think Tavion Heights, he has a lot of potential to be one of their top guys in the future. All right, now we're getting to the nitty gritty. CM Punk. CM Punk, of course, started off the year. He was well on his way on the road to the Royal Rumble. He was considered one of the favorites to win the entire Royal Rumble matchup. He made it to the final two, coming up short to Cody Rhodes in the process. But along the way, he interacted with Drew McIntyre, who delivered a featured shock DDT that tore the triceps of CM Punk, which caused him to lose several months of competition. In the aftermath, it was Drew McIntyre who said that he prayed for this to happen, and it happened. It led to a months-long storyline with Drew McIntyre talking trash, trolling CM Punk on social media with memes and promos. CM Punk would return closer to WrestleMania in Chicago. He was involved in a very memorable three-way promo exchange with Drew and Seth Rollins, which set him up to be the commentator for Drew and Seth's matchup at WrestleMania. He did sat in and he watched Drew McIntyre win the World Heavyweight Championship, but Drew couldn't just take the win and leave. He had to rub it in CM Punk's face to the point that Punk snapped. He tripped Drew McIntyre on the announce table. He hit him with his arm brace, and it led to Damian Priest cashing in Money in the Bank and Drew's reign only lasting just over 5 minutes, thanks in large part to CM Punk. CM Punk trolled Drew again when he was drafted to Monday Night Raw ahead of Drew in the WWE draft. He then got the better of Drew one more time in an even bigger way as he traveled all the way to Scotland to screw Drew McIntyre in front of his family, in front of his whole entire country, as he helped Damian Priest beat Drew for the World Heavyweight Championship at that show. From there, Drew attacked CM Punk in Chicago, laid him out, bloodying him, and stole his bracelet, which became the focus of CM Punk, a symbol of this whole entire feud that Drew doesn't care about his family. His family is represented by the friendship bracelet. It led to Punk returning and costing Drew his Money in the Bank cash in the World Heavyweight Championship matchup against Damian Priest and Seth Rollins, screwing over Seth in the process, as well as Damian won that matchup. It led to Seth Rollins becoming the referee for Drew versus Punk 1 at SummerSlam after the bracelet was dropped and Seth Rollins picked it up, put it on his wrist. Punk was so distracted by that cost him his matchup against Drew. Drew getting the win there. They had a rematch at Bash in Berlin, a strap match, an even better match. Great matchup they had there, physically intense. Punk got the win, but he thought that he could just move on after that. He thought he could move on to the World Heavyweight Championship, but Drew didn't let him. He attacked him, broke the bracelet, shoved it down his throat in the process, stretching Punk out of the building, which led into arguably the best WWE matchup of the year, restoring the Hell in a Cell stipulation with one of the most violent, bloody displays in WWE history in their Hell in a Cell match at WWE Bad Blood, with Punk picking up the win. And that alone would have made his year a great year. But then he added on at the end, coming back before Survivor Series, becoming the 5th member of Team OG Bloodline, his interactions with Roman Reigns becoming viral sensations. And he also did it because he was owed a favor by Paul Heyman, which we still don't know what the favor was. Punk and the OG Bloodline got the win in the men's War Games, which was another terrific matchup for Punk this year. CM Punk, if it wasn't for the injury, I would honestly say WrestleMania headliner, but even with the injury, he's in the main event to me.
Main event. Feelings aside, his matches, he's had 5 matches since being in WWE, since being back in WWE. Get the Royal Rumble, the 3 matches with Drew, and the War Games match. And I would say 4 of those matches were actually good to great. All 3 matches with Drew, I thought they were great in their own way. Each of them had a unique reason why they were great. The War Games match, obviously, like one of the best matches of the year for WWE. So I mean, he's shown he's still a great worker. The only thing I would say is the promos hasn't been as strong as we're used to from CM Punk, but that's about it. But overall, I mean, CM Punk is good for the business. I know people have their feelings to him. I sure as hell have my feelings to Punk, but he's still a draw. So I mean, yeah,
well deserving of being in the main event. But someone who had a better year than him, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, the current reigning undisputed WWE champion. Before we even get through the year, WrestleMania headliner, right?
yeah. I mean,
there's no.
I mean, yeah, that's the easiest, one of the easiest ones. Yeah, no doubter.
Yeah, there's no doubt here. Cody, of course, started off the year winning the men's Royal Rumble matchup. Looked like he was setting his sights on Roman Reigns. Of course, there's the infamous scene that happened on the SmackDown after the Royal Rumble where Cody seemingly was stepping aside for The Rock. It led to the awesome, memorable scene at the WrestleMania kickoff show where Cody decided, no, he's not going to step aside for The Rock. He wants his shot at WrestleMania, which led to the spellbinding, unbelievable run of shows into WrestleMania with Rock, the final boss, versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, where Cody similarly was treated by the fans and presented by WWE as this hybrid of white meat babyface John Cena meets beloved, adored underdog babyface Bryan Danielson. He was like all of that in one onto the road to WrestleMania. At WrestleMania, put on a great match on night 1, coming up short to The Rock and Roman Reigns alongside Seth Rollins. Then he finally finished the story in one of the best matches of the year against Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 40 Night 2. Followed that up with a 5-star rated matchup by Dave Meltzer against AJ Styles at WWE Backlash. Followed that up with a great matchup against Logan Paul at King and Queen of the Ring. Followed that up with an excellent I Quit matchup against AJ Styles at Clash at the Castle. He then found himself right back into the Bloodline storyline, but so he was right back into the number 1 storyline, but he was also taking losses to Solo Sikoa. So Dave Meltzer rated his matchup with Solo at SummerSlam 4 stars. I did not. So that's the best I can say about it. From there, you had Roman Reigns come back, so it became kind of who was the number 1 guy on SmackDown, but it really started Cody starting the story that really defined the rest of his year as he chose Kevin Owens to face him at Bash in Berlin, wanted to repay his friend for having his back in his battles against the Bloodline over the summer. Kevin didn't want the shot initially, but he eventually took the shot. They had another terrific matchup in this catalog of great matches for Cody Rhodes in 2024 at Bash in Berlin with KO coming up short. But then Cody made a cardinal sin to KO. He teamed with Roman Reigns, his arch nemesis, to beat the Bloodline at Bad Blood in what was a very good main event. But that pissed off Kevin Owens so much that he turned on Cody after Bad Blood in a viral scene outside of his bus, outside of the Atlanta arena. And then it led into his rivalry with Kevin Owens, which really has defined the rest of the year. Along the way, Cody put on another excellent matchup with Gunther to become the first ever Crown Jewel champion. And then he put on a very good matchup with Kevin Owens at Saturday night's main event that featured another viral moment for Cody as he was dropped on his head with a package power driver after the show went off the air. But what a year for Cody Rhodes, top to bottom. He did become WWE's top guy, whether it was in the ring, putting on excellent matches with everyone he was in the ring with, whether it was as a draw, being their top merchandise seller. They're in the main event for multiple, I think it's over 30 sellouts in 2024. So from the business end, from a quality end, from a character standpoint, Cody checked all the boxes this year.
I mean, he did, yeah. And as somebody who's been a Cody Rhodes advocate, rightfully so. I mean, it's been great to see. Him winning the title was also a great moment. It was great to see as well. And as the reign itself, I think it's been better than expected because usually chasing the title is usually better than the actual reign sometimes. But then, you keep putting him back in the bloodline storyline stuff, which is going to eventually happen again, some way, somehow. That kind of muddies certain things, kind of takes away from certain things for what Cody has done. But, I mean, what's given, he had good matches with AJ Styles. He's had he has good matches with KO. A good feud. At the same time, it's going to be lopsided again, unfortunately, because he already beat KO twice. So, yeah.
Yeah. Cody had the definition of a tippy top 2024 for sure. Rey Mysterio and the LWO, I mentioned a lot of their year already. They were in a feud with Legado del Fantasma the first half of the year. They got drafted to Monday Night Raw. They've been involved in back and feuds with the Judgment Day, kind of a rehash of their feud from 2023. Rey's had matches as of late with Chad Gable. Before that, I mean, LWO is kind of just here.
Same. And LWO, I mean, they kind of did it as like a niche, like, hey, sell merchandise, and that's all they've been since.
And they're not even selling merchandise anymore.
Yeah.
I would say Ray and Dragon Lee in mid card, the rest in mid.
Yeah. Even though I think Dragon Lee
deserve better. Yeah.
He does deserve better because he had that great match with Chad Gable, but Dragon Lee is just that kind of guy that they're not gonna really put big stock in. It's fortunate to see because we kind of been seeing it since he's not to WWE. But that's what he signed up for. He had his options and he signed with WWE. So, yeah.
Gotta live with it now. But yeah, Ray in mid card. Let's put him up next to Andrade here, and then the rest in mid. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. They've gotten to the point where they don't even use them as the tag team in LWO. They use Ray and fucking Dragon Lee more than they use these two.
Yeah, and they haven't had this guy do a third fire-over moment for the same that he did already, so that's good.
Yeah, they just keep doing that. Idris Enofe, Emily Blade, they are not really here anymore because I believe Idris is injured. Giovanni Vinci, you are best not even here.
God, yeah.
I'm gonna go as far to say contract not renewed.
Yes,
they don't treat you right. You deserve to be on the indies where you could be treated right.
Yeah. Forgot about him. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Dragunov got hurt late, but I think it's at the 4-month mark by the end of the year, so we could put him in not here. He was having a good start to his main roster run, but the injury kind of stalled him.
He was actually going to be like in a feud with like Judgment Day, right? Too, and
yeah, they were starting to tease it, and then it just completely got dropped.
Well, yeah, unfortunately because of the injury.
Yeah. We have these big bouncy niggas down here from NXT. Let's just put you in mid because y'all don't get no TV time. They seem like they're finally getting a story. As we're filming this, they seem like they're getting a story with Wesley, but not much of the year, to be fair. Then we have. Let me put these Irish dudes or Scotland dudes together. Where's his brother? Where's this guy's brother at? Is this guy's brother not on the list? That's interesting. All right. We can go back to the top. Damian Priest. Damian Priest started off the year undisputed tag team champion. He was, of course, Money in the Bank from 2023. He eventually cashes in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania after dropping the undisputed tag team championships, cashing in on Drew McIntyre. He had a strong 4-month reign where he was slowly but surely, you could see him getting confidence as a main eventer and a top guy as the title reign went along. He had title defenses against Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins along the way. He eventually dropped the title to Gunther. And after dropping the title, it just seemed like he became way more popular. And the fans started to love him. It was whether it was the build to the Gunther match where he was being called street trash, and you could tell the fans were starting to get behind him. But once he got screwed over by Finn Balor and Judgment Day, and he was out of the Judgment Day, the fans fully embraced him. He became one of the top baby faces on Monday Night Raw. Him and Rhea pretty much dominated the Judgment Day during their feud in the latter half of the year. He had 2 title challenge matches against Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at Survivor Series and Saturday Night's main event, coming up short for both. But he's continuing his rivalry with Finn as we close out 2024. Damian Priest, I'm going to say all-star main eventer. What do you think?
I'm going to say main eventer. He presented as a top babyface in Raw for the most part. I do agree that it kind of seems like his popularity grew after he dropped the title. But at the same time, I think the title kind of did to him favors because I feel like it kind of felt like a test run where they're like, let's see what we have with this guy. And I felt like he passed.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing for Damian Priest because Damian Priest is the type of guy he's basically on house. He was like, it was house money with him because he's always been a mid-card guy in his entire career before WWE. He was always a glorified mid-card guy. He had skills, but he was always missing something. And then he got to WWE. After he got paired up with Bad Bunny, they saw something with the guy. They gave him opportunity after opportunity. He kept proving himself. And obviously this year, I think doesn't get better. Like he's never had the kind of career he's had in his entire life. And I think he's proven himself. I think he's proven himself that he's a top guy, especially for a Raw brand. I think for Raw, like a spot like that, it was good. I just don't know what's going to happen with Netflix. Obviously, they're going to have bigger calls, bigger things that they might want. But I think Damian has proven himself that he's a guy you could rely on and present him on TV whenever you need him.
Next up, we got Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre started off the year as one of the top heels over on Monday Night Raw. He was aiming after the World Heavyweight Championship, came up short in his challenge for the title at day 1 on January 1st, but he continued to pursue it. He entered into the Royal Rumble matchup after a brief interaction with CM Punk on the lead up to the Royal Rumble. He was the reason why CM Punk did not win after injuring his tricep during the matchup, which sparked a 9-month rivalry with Punk. Along the way, Drew won the Elimination Chamber matchup in Australia. He went on to challenge Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, winning the World Heavyweight Championship because of his rivalry with CM Punk that only lasted about 5 minutes. After Damian Priest cashed in Money in the Bank, Drew became incensed and upset that he felt like he was being penalized. Punk was just running roughshod, was able to screw him with no consequences. He screwed him again at Clash at the Castle, which completely made Drew snap. He hit Adam Pearce, which led to Adam Pearce kind of admonishing him. He hit him again at Money in the Bank after Punk screwed him again, screwing him out of his Money in the Bank cash-in and the World Heavyweight Championship. This led to the big showdown between the two at SummerSlam, with Drew beating Punk, thanks in large part to Seth Rollins as special guest referee. He came up to short to Punk in the strap match at Bash in Berlin, but of course, the aforementioned Hell in a Cell match, one of the best matches of the year, violent, brutal, and it led to Drew coming up short against Punk yet again, and led to Drew taking about a month and a half off before he eventually returned on the Raw after Survivor Series and set his sight on the OG bloodline, trying to make sure Roman Reigns had to get back to power, which started his whole descent into this madness. Drew McIntyre, to me, is an S tier. He's WrestleMania main event, WrestleMania headline. What do you think? Where should he land, Josh?
I'm kind of in agreement. With Drew, he was kind of like in that area where he was kind of goofy for a while because they kind of, they had that sword thing and we kind of don't know what they were doing with him. And then all of a sudden he slowly started turning heel. And then, his biggest break was the whole Punk thing. Punk doesn't get injured. Who knows if this happens, if anything happens, the whole rivalry. Because we do know in real life, Drew was actually one of the people. He was actually not happy that CM Punk was coming back. So like when they said he left that night, War Games, that was actually legit. Like he was upset that Punk was back. Like apparently like, all that was actually legit. But he's professional and they had a great rivalry. I think sometimes, sometimes that can make for good TV. And I think it did. Not only for TV, but for social media. He became like one of the biggest social media guys in the company. And I think that really elevated him in a way. He even had that memorable picture with Perry. So his Twitter game was on point. Like, but then also he had some great matches. If you took great performer in the ring. He had a great match at WrestleMania, with Seth, even with Seth being injured. I thought that was a good match. 3 matches with Punk, like I said before, great matches. Him coming back. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with WrestleMania main eventer. Hopefully someday it happens for him. I think he does deserve a main event with a crowd there.
Yeah. Agreed there for sure. Then we got here Dexter Lumis. He's a member of the Wyatt Six.
I just said, man,
yeah, I don't blame you. Eddie Thorpe, he's recently gotten better because they gave him a character now that he's turned heel, but this is for the duration of 2024. Pretty mid. Or deserve better.
He just, he reminds me like a creative character, like in like SmackDown or something. That's how I look at him.
Pretty Deadly, I'm gonna go with deserves better. Pretty Deadly are always so annoyingly entertaining, but they don't get any TV time.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because even though I kind of don't like looking at them, I do feel like they do their jobs, and they were actually presented well in NXT, and then they get to their main roster, it's like non-existent.
Yeah, it really feels like Pretty Deadly is getting penalized because A-Town Down Under plays the same role.
Ooh, it's funny. I actually didn't think of that.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like they're getting penalized because A-Town Down Under takes the spots that are probably supposed to be for them. We got here trying to see if there's anyone we can go through quickly. Gallus, I can go through Gallus quickly. They feuded with Joe Hendry. That's the highlight of their year.
So it's not saying much. I guess it's mid. Yeah, I like.
I mean,
I like Joe Henry, but
yeah, it's pretty mid.
I
Pretty mid year. Pretty mid year. They weren't around sometimes as well, so let's just put them in mid.
yeah, I noticed that too. They're like in and out. Like they're kind of like there, and then they get presented, and they kind of just get put on ice again.
Yeah, pretty much. Lexis King, they turned him babyface for some reason, but mid. Hank and Tank, they've been getting more TV time now, been picking up momentum now, but you're right there with the rest of these NXT tag teams in mid.
That's a lot of for NXT.
There's just a lot of people that just aren't given the opportunities to stand out in any way in NXT. So I think that's why.
Yeah. I mean, it happens when you have a deep roster. I mean, gotta do something to get noticed, but sometimes you could do work, and sometimes you just don't still get noticed.
Yeah. Aura Mensa, I think Aura Mensa is good. He did get the mini feud with Ethan Page over the NXT Championship, so he's gotten a little.
I remember that dumb shit. Right, that was the one he kept like, I don't know. He kept like harassing him. He kept harassing.
He kept pinning.
He kept harassing Ethan Page. No, Ethan Page is the.
I'm gonna say mid card. Put them with the rest of the meta people in the mid card over here. Armenta, he's good for what he can do. So I like him.
Presentable. Please presentable.
Then I think that is all of the people we can run through quickly. Rich Holland, fuck this guy, but he won the NXT Championship, so he's at least mid card. We got to take our bias out of it.
Yeah,
I would have said mid if I'm just doing it off my opinion, but we're trying to base it.
You're better man than me. I would have said, who is that again?
Rich Holland.
Rich Holland. I mean, it was up to me. I put him at contract expired because he did to my boy Bicky. I don't appreciate that.
That's fair. All right. Then we got the War Raiders. War Raiders recently just came back, but they did win the WWE World Tag Team Championships over the Judgment Day on the December 16th edition of WWE Raw, but they literally just came back in like October or November. So
yeah.
Not here.
Yeah, I'll put not here, even though like this dude, when he was on TV, man, he was showing out, and then he got
injured. Early in the year he was showing out.
Fucking banger at the banger, and then he didn't even have to win, and it was just like, yo, we know he can have a great match, and then he got injured, unfortunately. But at least both guys are back now. They have titles, and they're still presented as badasses too, which I like. It seems like they feel like they're kind of matter again. So it's good to see. Let's just see how it goes.
Let's see how that works. Ethan Page, he signed with WWE in May, and within I believe it was like 60 days, he won the NXT Championship. He came up short. I think he came up short against Trick at Battleground, but then won the title in a Fatal 4-Way at Heatwave. He held the title for almost 3 months afterwards, defending against the likes of Aura Mensa, as well as Joe Hendry. He eventually dropped the title to Trick Williams on the October 1st edition of NXT, thanks in large part to special referee CM Punk. From there, he won the #1 contendership to get another shot at the NXT Championship at Halloween Havoc, coming up short to Trick in the main event there. He teamed with Ridge Holland to pick up a win over Trick and Bubba Ray Dudley in the ECW arena. Then he qualified for the men's Iron Survivor, had really the highlight of that matchup with his interaction with Oba Femi during the match. And eventually he lost that matchup. And then he was on kind of a depression run, being upset over his failure to regain the NXT championship and win the Iron Survivor. He then came up short to Tony D'Angelo for the North American championship and looked like he was at his wit's end. He eventually cut a lost his smile promo on the December 17th edition of NXT from Lowell, Massachusetts, the same building that Shawn Michaels cut the original Lost His Smile promo. Javon Evans tried to give him a pep talk, and he broke Javon Evans' smile by stopping a steel chair on his mouth in a memorable segment on that show. But Ethan Page, strong showing coming into NXT. I think he's had an all-star showing so far in NXT.
I would say all-star. I think Ethan Page is at he's at where he belongs. I gotta put my feelings aside just because, like, things didn't work out with AEW. I just didn't like the little pot shots he was throwing. It's like, bro, we get it. You're in a better spot. Just like, do your work. But also, I think his work in the ring kind of showed too. Ironically, it kind of showed too maybe why AEW wasn't using him as much. But it works for NXT. But I think for somewhere like AEW, it's just he's not going to stand out in the ring, and that's where AEW, like, that's their main thing, right? But NXT, what works for him is his mic skills, him being a complete fucking shitbag. Heel. So it works out for him. I think he's in a good spot. And especially, him winning the title as fast as he did, even though it kind of came like a charity kind of thing in the beginning. But I do feel like he did show out. Like, he did prove like he could be a top heel. In regards to like the main roster stuff, I mean, that's another discussion for another day. But if I'm judging through his stuff at NXT, I think All-Star is a good spot. Now, if he came sooner, like, say, like, if he came like in January, then he's probably main eventer. I think he's presented himself very well in NXT, but I think All-Star is a good spot.
Next up here, we got Gunther, who started off this year as Intercontinental Champion, the longest reign ever as Intercontinental Champion, 666 day reign that ended at WrestleMania in a absolutely outstanding matchup against Sami Zayn. He took a month off and then returned for the King of the Ring tournament, picking up the win to win the King of the Ring tournament in Saudi Arabia, defeating Randy Orton in a terrific matchup, winning the crown and moving on to become the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. In yet another excellent matchup, he defeated Damian Priest to become the champion and has held the title ever since then, with a tremendous bout against Randy Orton at Bash in Berlin. Another very good matchup with Damian Priest at Survivor Series. A great match with Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw. So Gunther, although the booking and presentation hasn't been always the best, especially in the final month of 2024, there is no denying Gunther has been one of the MVPs for WWE. Where do you think he should be?
WrestleMania main event.
Can't argue with that. Nothing else needs to be said. Gunther is one of the best. Gunther's one of the best. Yeah, it's that simple. I agree. He had one of the best years this year.
His talking has gotten better because he's actually cut like some of the best promos, as in like his words. Nothing. He's doing what he's doing, like he's talking the way that he's comfortable with. But he has some memorable promos. The Bill Goldberg stuff was great to Bret Hart. And then even the Bill Goldberg when he said he lied, and then they kind of teased that as well. And then, the whole Damian Priest thing, the street trash, even though, I mean, it's basic, but it worked. Like that whole thing worked.
It got the heat that it wanted. Gunther has figured it out where he's put the great in-ring work that he's always been.
And he talks just shit. Like he talks like a lot of shit where he's like, you may be good, but you know what? You're not better than me. Like you're still like below me. Like, and it works. Like I like shit like that. It's like simple, but it's like kind of reminds me of like 80s, 90s kind of like heelish kind of like tactics, and it works so well for him.
Next, we have the new bloodline. Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. Solo Sikoa came into this year as the tribal heir. He tried to help Roman Reigns retain the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at WrestleMania 40. He wasn't able to, but from there, he became the tribal chief. After Roman lost at WrestleMania 40, he took the reins of the bloodline, took the wise man, and inserted Tama Tonga. They took out his brother, Jimmy Uso. Him and Tama Tonga picked up the win over Randy Orton and Kevin Owens at WWE Backlash, thanks to the insertion of Tonga Loa into this new bloodline. Tama Tonga had a strong showing in the King of the Ring tournament, making it to the semifinals against Randy Orton before losing. The duo of Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu won the WWE Tag Team Championships from DIY before Jacob Fatu gave the title over to Tonga Loa as he was anointed the enforcer of the bloodline. Jacob Fatu debuted in June in a wonderful angle where he just beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. He was also majorly a part of the angle where they turned on Paul Heyman in Madison Square Garden when Paul Heyman refused to acknowledge Solo as his tribal chief and was taken out in the process. Jacob Fatu became the real X factor for the bloodline throughout the rest of the year, helping Solo in his attempts to win the WWE Championship from Cody Rhodes, teaming with Solo to face Cody and Roman Reigns in the main event of Bad Blood, and all four members of the new bloodline were involved in the men's war games, coming up short to the OG bloodline in the main event at Survivor Series. Championship gold, main events, all the TV time over on SmackDown. They were like the main heels of WWE this year. Where do you think the members of the new bloodline should land in our tiers?
This is a good one. I'm taking a note from Solo. I'm trying to think.
I'm gonna say Solo, either All-Star or main event. Jacob, All-Star. The Gorillas of Destiny, mid-card.
That's fair. I think All-Star. Because with Solo, there was a period of Solo where it was kind of like, yeah, bro, you ain't it. But I think because he's kind of developed his character where he's just like playing around now, he's laughing, he's goofing around, it works out for him better. Jacob Fatu is easily the best member athletically. It doesn't even come close. And then you got Tama and Tonga Loa, even though Tonga Loa it's more mid in general, but with him and his brother, like when they're in a tag team, they're actually pretty good. So I got to give credit where it's due. Regardless of like all the botches and everything, that's just more of like just us making fun of him. But if you're talking about the overall bloodline stuff, it just works. So I think those are good spots for them.
So you said Solo and All-Star, right?
Yeah.
So
if he didn't, honestly, if Solo did not recover from SummerSlam, man, that would have been. You're talking about
he would have landed in like mid card with a main event, which landed in mid.
It would have been like an all time like blunder. You know what I mean? Like it's like, what the fuck did you guys do?
Next up here, we got Javon Evans, who debuted
Ooh.
in the spring and really became the fastest rising star on the NXT brand. With fans really connected to him with the whole bouncy young OG character. He found his biggest break in the summer when he became the number one contender for the NXT Championship. Found himself in the four-way main event of Heatwave, coming up short in there. He was also involved in this spectacular men's Iron Survivor at Deadline, coming up just short of winning that as well. He's had interactions with the likes of X-Pac and RVD, had a matchup with Randy Orton in St. Louis. That was a good one. He's been featured in a short rivalry with Wes Lee on TV, picking up 2 straight victories over him. He's beaten the likes of Shawn Spears in singles action as well. Javon Evans feels like WWE's kind of like NXT Rookie of the Year, the newest star to NXT that seems like he's destined for big things in the years to come at only 20 years old. That says a lot. Where do you
Yeah.
think he lands?
I want to say between high mid card to all star, like lower tier all star. I think that's a good area for him because he's actually, given the opportunities, especially for how young he is. He's made a few mistakes, but nothing too like crazy. He had that Randy Orton botch, unfortunately. I think that was just more of a timing issue. It happens. They were trying to move fast, and Randy Orton being how he is, you kind of see Orton has changed a lot because he told the kid, "Hey, you still the man." Like
Yeah.
Orton 15 years ago probably would have given him shit and tell them buried his kid. But the opposite happened because he still had a great matchup. He's good.
I think he's high mid card because he hasn't had the accomplishments to be in.
Yeah,
Also.
yeah. I think that's fair.
It's still NXT.
Yeah, that's fair. I think high mid card. I think high mid card is a good spot for him. But like there's a lot of potential there, man. Like, he's really good, And I know a lot of people were trying to give shit because he was presented in AEW, like like AEW Dark and those kind of matches. At the same time, people got to understand too. I'm like, that's what they were signing up for. You can't really knock them for that. But NXT was a good spot for him. Like, if you really want to look down in the nitty gritty, NXT was a good spot because he was going to be presented on TV and everything, which just worked out. If he would have signed with AEW, he probably doesn't get the TV time he gets now. So he made the right choice.
Jey Uso. Of course,
Ooh.
Jey early on in the year was a part of the rivalry with Jimmy Uso heading into WrestleMania. The match did not go well as far as the quality, but Jey did pick up the win. He parlayed that into becoming the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, facing Damian Priest at WWE Backlash, coming up short there. He was involved in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. He came up short in that as well. It seemed like every time he would get a big opportunity, but come up just short until September when he finally won the big one, defeating Braun Breaker to win the Intercontinental Championship. From there, he found himself back in the bloodline drama of his all, with the new bloodline costing him the IC title. He reunited with his brother Jimmy Uso and reunited with his cousin Roman Reigns, brought Sami Zayn back into the fold for the OG bloodline, leading to their victory in the men's war games at Survivor Series. All the while, Jey's become a top merchandise mover and one of the very most popular stars in WWE. All-star. What do you think?
Between I would say high all-star or even main event, I would say all-star.
Yeah, I would say if he had a stronger IC title run, then
I think all-star.
We could probably make the argument for main event, but I would say it's a very high all-star year.
Yeah, he's shown out, man, and I know like there was times that we were critical on Jey because we were like, bro, you gotta do something. And I kind of felt like the whole IC title stuff did end up working out. And then, when Roman came back, the way they're presenting Jey, who wasn't an afterthought, He was getting like the last entrance out. He was getting his own shit out. Yeah, man, he's been killing it. Like, you're talking about somebody who stepped up when they could have put him on ice because his brother was hurt. He stepped up and he's been doing it for years now. So
then we got his brother, Jimmy Uso, who, like I said, was involved in the rivalry with Jay and then returned at Bad Blood to help Roman get the win in the tag team matchup, was a part of the OG Bloodline men's War Games win. But for the most part, nigga, you weren't here. John Cena. John Cena was a part of helping Cody finish his story at WrestleMania 40 and announced that he's retiring in 2025. Well, we'll get back to you and we'll put you in a real tier in 2025. Nigga, you're not here. DIY. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. They reunited at the end of 2023. They came into 2024. They were one of the main teams over on Monday Night Raw. They were involved in the 6-way ladder match at WrestleMania 40 and then eventually won the WWE Tag Team titles from A-Town Down Under in July in Toronto. Only held the titles for 1 month, dropping them in Shawnee's hometown of Cleveland to the Bloodline. They're involved in that awesome 3-way ladder match over the tag team titles ahead of Bad Blood. But they eventually found themselves in a rivalry with Motor City Machine Guns coming up short to them for the #1 contendership in a very good matchup. But then months later, after the frustration of coming up short in their quest to regain the gold, Johnny Gargano followed the footsteps of Tommaso Ciampa, turning heel, which helped DIY finish out 2024 as WWE Tag Team Champions. Think mid-card, low all-star. What do you think?
mid-card. I would say mid-card is a good spot.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right to me. Yeah, I think there'll be that if they continue on the track that they ended 2024 with, they might be higher in 2025.
I agree. I think those guys are too good to not be used. And them getting the titles as heels. I did like the match and like how it transpired. I just wish it was on a bigger stage.
That's fair. Next up, we got Josh Briggs. You were with Brooks Jensen to start off the year. Then y'all broke up. He was a part of that incredible 3-way match at Stand and Deliver with Oba Femi and Donovan Dijak. But he went to Japan. He was a part of the N1 tournament, but he was in that tournament and was supposed to be back. And then he was left off TV for 2 months. Now he's in a tag team with the Noah guy. So it feels like a year that should have landed him in the mid card, but he kind of just came off mid.
Yeah, and I think he's good, Josh Briggs, especially from stuff in Evolve. So he's capable of. He just needs opportunity.
Yeah. The Good Brothers. Nigga, you're not here.
Like, Carl Anderson is out. He had surgery. Like, he didn't do nothing, but he had surgery.
He did something. Karrion Kross, we should have just put you with the Final Testament, but yeah, everything we said about the Final Testament.
Yeah,
I think he's landed himself out of mid with the rest of Final Testament. I think he is mid, either deserved better or mid card. What do you think?
Mid card. He actually has been getting some weird momentum lately. It feels like the internet has kind of gotten behind him. He's not a bad talker. And I think he's kind of been proving that a little more and more. It's just the stable itself is kind of like meh. I think that's just all it really is. If it was just him and Scarlett and they would have gone back to like their NXT roots, maybe he's presented better if he was a badass, but he's just in a weird spot because I think people still remember like what they used him when he first got to Raw. I think that still hasn't left people's minds. So every time they show him on TV, it's like, oh, we're getting Karrion Kross again. I like Karrion Kross personally, but we'll see. We'll see if he steps it up, and if all the internet stuff works out for him, they might just give him a push.
We shall see. We got our final run of people. Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens started off the year feuding with Logan Paul over the United States Championship. That soon involved also Randy Orton. They had the three-way matchup at WrestleMania 40 with Logan Paul picking up the win. It was a great matchup. From there, Owens and Orton found themselves feuding with the Bloodline once again. Owens feuding with the Bloodline. Feels like 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, all over again. They had that tremendous matchup, the Falls Street Fight at WWE Backlash, where they came up short. Owens and Orton, and along with Cody Rhodes, feuded with the Bloodline through the summer. It was eventually after SummerSlam when Cody beat Solo that Cody gave KO a shot at the WWE Championship. Owens tried to turn it down, but he eventually was convinced. In the matchup, Owens had a crisis of confidence, a crisis of conscience, through choosing not to kind of cheat and use the injury from Cody, and eventually he took the loss. But the frustration over Cody teaming with Roman Reigns was way too much at Backlash. He turns on Cody after Backlash and has become one of WWE's best heels since then. His promos, whether it be in the car, whether it be pre-recorded, sending it in, whether it be with Michael Cole, whether it be talking down to Cody Rhodes, or just trying to make himself into the victim, has made him into one of the most entertaining characters on WWE television to close out 2024. Kevin Owens, I'm going to say main event, mostly for the last couple of months.
Main event. Because also he's been if you just said everything, that's some prominent positions. You're talking about like main storyline he's involved in, title matches he's involved in. That's a pretty good year for a guy that, people say he deserves better. That's actually a good year.
Yeah, very good year for KO.
He's in a contract situation too, so
that's how you perform in a contract year. The New Day. Like, if this was like 3-4 months ago, I'd be like, oh, something quick to the point. They're the New Day, so they just get their status, whatever. But the last couple of months has really turned their year around. The most notable stuff that they did this year was, of course, the feud with Karrion Kross and the Final Testament. Their somewhat alliance with Odyssey Jones before his firing, but the rivalry with the Karrion Kross and the Final Testament really led to the dissension being shown between the New Day. Weeks upon weeks of Xavier Woods growing in frustration, Kofi Kingston trying to calm him down, Woods getting more and more heelish. It all seemed like it was going to culminate with Woods turning on Kofi Kingston, but when we got to the 10-year anniversary of the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods did reunite, but reunited in their hatred and feeling abandoned by Big E, turning on Big E in one of the most heart-wrenching segments of the year. The New Day, just based on the heel turn, I say all-star.
Same, and I think they put in the work. They made things interesting, and it kind of came together. And also now they're just getting so much heat.
Yeah.
They're getting so much heat for not laying a hand, by the way. I think that's pretty impressive.
It's like we didn't even hit them with a chair. Like, why are y'all so mad at us? For one day?
But I think that was I think it just tells you how invested people are still in with the New Day. And it works out for both fellas. I think they realistically, they need each other. I don't think a split.
Yeah.
It just is not compatible. Even if you split them up, Kofi, we kind of know what Kofi is, but at the same time, he's 15 years in his WWE career. He's just not getting that what people want anymore. Like, he's not getting that giant push anymore. And then Xavier Woods, he's been like the New Day member that hasn't really gotten that big moment, like Solo, King of the Ring. But you split them up. I mean, he probably is the odd man that's gonna he would have gotten the worst.
Yeah,
So keeping them together, I think that's a great move, and obviously, it's shown it's a great move.
LA Knight, yeah. He was involved in the Universal Championship 4-way matchup at the Royal Rumble, coming up short there. He then got into a rivalry with AJ Styles coming out of the Royal Rumble, beating AJ at WrestleMania, but coming up short to him in the number one contendership ahead of Backlash. LA Knight then found himself in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match after defeating Santos Escobar and Logan Paul in a 3-way qualifying matchup. That victory, he pinned Logan Paul, which made him a direct number one contender for the United States Championship, feuding with Logan Paul, pissing in his fucking pool, and then eventually beating him in Cleveland, Ohio, his hometown, at SummerSlam in a great matchup. He had a really strong showing as United States champion, getting some open challenge wins against Santos Escobar, against Berto, against Ludwig Kaiser. The matches with Carmelo Hayes and Andrade were really good, as well as their great triple threat at Crown Jewel. But then he eventually falls short to Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship at Survivor Series. Shinsuke Nakamura, he was around for like the first 4 months. He left for like 6 months, came back in November. Nigga, you weren't here. So I'm just going to put him there now. But LA Knight, I'm going to say all-star. Do you agree?
All-Star is a good spot.
Let's put him up here. Probably like a top of All-Star, but we'll just put him down there for now. Then we got Logan Paul, who started off the year United States champion, involved in the aforementioned excellent triple threat matchup at WrestleMania 40 with Orton and Owens. He eventually drops the title to to LA Knight at SummerSlam, and he's been gone since then. He could qualify for Nigga Night here, but I would say all in all, an all-star year for Logan Paul.
Yeah, because he does have great performances.
The great match with Cody at King and Queen of the Ring.
Yeah, he has, as much as I really dislike Logan Paul, I mean, he knows it. Like he's got it. It's just those things. It's one of those things where over time, I'm starting to dislike Logan Paul more just because of all the outside stuff that keeps coming in. But as a wrestling performer, I mean, you can't really deny. There's no denying that he's actually really good.
Yeah. Then we got down here next, Ludwig Kaiser. Kaiser, most notable moments was turning on Giovanni Vinci and kicking him out of Imperium. He then went on a real singles run and became arguably like a low-key breakout star for WWE, getting more singles opportunities this year, bunch of singles matches, whether it be against Randy Orton, Sheamus, LA Knight for the United States Championship. He scored some key victories over Sheamus in the fall of this year, and really got the showcase matchup at Survivor Series in the triple threat against Sheamus and Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Ludwig Kaiser, I'm going to say strong mid-carder.
Strong mid-card is a good spot because he's had some good performances. He just loses a lot. So there's no accomplishments.
Yeah, and I don't think he really deserves better. He's kind of in the spot that
he's in the spot he's supposed to be because he is still like stable with Gunther, and he's just a fall guy.
Yeah, that's what his role is, especially with no Giovanni Vinci. Oba Femi, the most dominant, longest reigning North American champion in history. He won the title early on in 2024, held in it for the duration of the year, getting victories over Dijak, in Josh Briggs, and Dragon Lee, and Tony D'Angelo. But he was so dominant, wins over Wes Lee, Joe Coffey, the longest reign ending Wes Lee's run as champion from 2023, passing that, dropping the title to Tony D'Angelo, and then ending off the year winning the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge. Honestly, This is like top all-star fringe main eventer. I'm gonna say the bottom of main event is where I would put him. What do you think?
That's fair. He had a strong year. I think he had the best match at Stand and Deliver, that fucking three-way.
Yes.
That was obviously, I think that was the best match of the night. Unfortunately, one guy is not with the company from there anymore. But it was a great matchup, and he's somebody that has potential. If they use him right, if they really know his value, he could be a world champion someday. You never know.
Yeah, he has all the makings to be a world champion. Then we have Pete Dunne. Most notably, he stopped being Butch this year and created New Catch Republic with Tyler Bate. They came up short against the Judgment Day for the tag team titles at Elimination Chamber. They were involved in the six-way ladder match at WrestleMania, but Tyler Bate got injured in the spring, which left Pete Dunne on his own. He turned heel, turning on Sheamus in the summer. Feuded with Sheamus, had a bunch of great matches, especially their Donnybrook final match that they had with each other. Really stole the show on that episode of Monday Night Raw. Dunn always stands out, whether it's feuds with Trick Williams in NXT or any of the bangers he had on Monday Night Raw, but not a lot of prominent storylines for Pete Dunne. So I'm going to say deserves better.
It's funny. I was actually gonna say that because he's a great fucking worker in the ring, and I think he deserves more opportunity. I just want them to get away from this Butch shit. I'm kind of like I'm a little over it because it's just like we get it. They changed his name back. Why are we still harboring on this? But yeah, he deserves better.
R-Truth was a part of the hilarious storyline with the Judgment Day to start off the year. He eventually wins the Raw Tag Team titles, the World Tag Team titles, with The Miz as Awesome Truth at WrestleMania 40. They held the titles for a few months before dropping it to the Judgment Day, JD McDonough and Finn Balor in the summer. They were still a tag team for a little while before Miz turned on Truth, joining up with the Final Testament. And since then, Truth has just been making everybody laugh in backstage segments, somewhat feuding with Pete Dunne because he refuses to call him by his real name and keeps calling him Butch. R-Truth is always entertaining. I can make an argument for deserve better, but I think he's mid-card.
Mid-card. He's accomplished a lot more this year than I probably had him on bingo card.
Yeah. Definitely R-Truth accomplished more than a lot of people had on their bingo card this year. Next we got Randall Keith Orton. Randy Orton came into this year involved in the Universal Championship matchup at Royal Rumble, coming up short to Roman Reigns. He was involved in the Elimination Chamber, the last person eliminated by Drew McIntyre before he became the number one contender. He was involved in the triple threat match with Logan Paul and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. That excellent match won by Logan Paul. Then he was a part of the Barn Burner street fight at Backlash with the Bloodline with Kevin Owens. That was a great matchup as well. He was involved in the storyline and being backup to Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens against the Bloodline throughout the summer, taken out by the Bloodline before SummerSlam. He made his return after SummerSlam and challenged Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship in arguably one of the best singles matches in WWE this year. Came up short there. Then he started getting involved in the whole story between Cody and Kevin Owens, seemingly choosing Cody Rhodes' side, which pissed off Kevin Owens. Him and Kevin Owens feuded, led to the power driver on SmackDown that write him off for the rest of the year. Orton, I'm thinking either main event, all-star. What do you think?
I want to say main event. I think it's grandfathered in at this point for Orton because I think he's proven he could still work, and given the right opportunity, the right opponent, he's going to show out. That main event with Gunther, I mean, that was proven. He's a legend status for a reason in WWE. So that he's proved it. He's proved it.
Agreed there. We put Orton in the main event. And then we're gonna go from back to front. We'll end with the OTC.
That's a good one.
Wesley, he made his return in April. Challenged Obafemi for the NXT North American Championship at Battleground in a 3-way with Joe Coffey. Came up short there. Challenged Obafemi at Heatwave in a really good opener to that show. Came up short there as well. And then he teamed up with his Rascals, reunited with the Rascals. They tore it up in banger matches on NXT television, including their challenge for the NXT championships against Fraxium, coming up short there. And that triggered Wesley to turn on the Rascals, turning heel for the first time in his WWE run. He came up short against Zachary Wentz at No Mercy before beating him on the CW premiere of NXT. He cut his dreads. Then he had a great performance in the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge. Wesley has kind of found his footing as like an upper mid-carder on the NXT brand. What do you think he lands on our tier?
Wesley, kind of want to say mid-card.
I was going to say top of mid-card. Yep, I'm right there with you. I thought they would kind of position him as an all-star when he came back, but they just haven't done that.
Yeah, and then even the heel turn, it was kind of like, oh, all right, maybe think it's gonna happen. And it's kind of just, I think after the SMK stuff, it was just kind of just like, all right, I kind of expected more. I just haven't seen it.
Then we have the standout from NXT, Trick Williams. Trick Williams came into this year the number one contender for the NXT Championship, challenging Ilya Dragunov at Vengeance Day in an absolutely fabulous, hard-hitting main event. It was Dragunov who came out with the win. Carmelo Hayes turns on him in the aftermath. They have the main event of Stand and Deliver where Trick wins. He beats him in a steel cage to become the number one contender again. Beats Dragunov at Spring Breakin' to finally win the gold. Then he's thrusted into a rivalry with the just debuting Ethan Page, beating Page at Battleground, but then coming up short to Page in a fatal 4-way at Heatwave. And then Trick has been involved off and on with Ethan Page, beating him again at Halloween Havoc. He then beat Ridge Holland at Deadline. Trick Williams has become the face of NXT, one of the most popular guys on the whole entire brand. I'm going to say either top of All-Star or bottom main event. What do you think?
I kind of want to say, damn, this is a tricky one. No pun intended. Because I mean, he's a likable character. He's very likable. That's no doubt. He's a good talker. It's just sometimes his wrestling could be hit or miss for me. There's sometimes I could like his stuff. Sometimes I don't. So I would say upper all-star. You know, I think the second reign has been better than the first one.
Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
But they're still not doing him any favors. They have
They're
not.
They're not. That's why it's tricky.
Right at all.
They're not putting him with opponents that are like, that should do something. Like Rich Holland, really? Why was that a thing? Like, like why did that need to happen? I mean, kind of shows why they didn't do ticket sales well there. When you put that match. But yeah, I think up all-star. I think Trick is at a point where I think he could be called up in another few months. After he drops the title, he's probably being called up after that. But he's improved a lot. Yeah.
And we got The Miz. We pretty much went over this. It's mostly Awesome Truth, then turning on Truth, joining up with Final Testament, and now he's feuding with the Wyatt Six. Mid.
Yeah. Just send him to mid. Just become a guy now.
Yeah. They kind of just booked him to Manassas. Sheamus always stands out, puts on bangers. He came back after WrestleMania, had a banger matchup with Gunther in the King of the Ring tournament. He's had banger matches on Raw against against Braun Breaker, against Ludwig Kaiser, against Pete Dunne. He had that great triple threat with Kaiser and Breaker at Survivor Series. Sheamus has not always been featured prominently on the PLEs, but he's been a standout on Monday Night Raw. I would say like top of mid card.
Top of mid card, just because not many accomplishments. I mean, there's really no accomplishments. He's not really going after titles. He's just going after banger, literally. That's like his favorite line now. And he's kind of been proving that. So I mean, it's good to see him. In general, he was injured. He was injured as fuck. That's the best way to say it. And he's had a strong 2024 for you, given the circumstances. Good for Sheamus.
Bounce back. Then you got Shawn Spears. He came back in February, feuded with Joe Gacy for a while, feuded with Rich Holland for a little bit. He aligned with Brooks Jensen. He's been hurt for a little bit. Yeah, mid.
It's just Shawn Spears is Shawn Spears. I like Shawn Spears on a personal level, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, you ain't getting Ty Dillinger no more. That's for sure.
Nope. Seth freaking Rollins came into this year World Heavyweight Champion, had a great matchup with Drew McIntyre on day one, defended the title against Jinder Mahal, where he suffered an injury. He was supposed to be out of action through WrestleMania, but he took time off, got healthy, found himself involved in the whole Cody versus the Bloodline drama, teaming up with Cody at WrestleMania. They came up short against The Rock and Roman Reigns. The next night, he lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Drew McIntyre. He was off of TV for several months after that, returning after Clash at the Castle, challenging Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank, coming up short due to CM Punk's involvement in that matchup and Drew McIntyre as well. He was a special referee at SummerSlam for Drew versus Punk, causing Punk to lose that one. Then he found himself on the hands of the attack of Bronson Reed, having a nice little rivalry with him. Then he was asked to join Team OG Bloodline at Survivor Series, which brought back all of his PTSD towards his former Shield brethren, Roman Reigns. He turned them down, but eventually that caused him to get right back into his anger towards CM Punk, and he will face Punk on the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw on January 6th. Seth Rollins is a main eventer. He should be in the main event tier, but this year is more like an all-star.
All-star because, he has missed some time, but he was put in prominent positions. He was the world champion starting the year. He was a workhorse. They gave him that Jinder Mahal match because, he decided to say, who the fuck is Hook? And, that was detrimental to Seth because he got injured. And then the guy ended up getting fired months later anyway. Then, like you said, WrestleMania, he got to event WrestleMania, benefited him.
Yep.
Then he opened the next night at WrestleMania. He was injured. Then he came back for that one match, and then he was out again because he never really fully recovered. Then he came back. He's in this feud with Punk, which really heated up, thank God. And now they promoted it for the Netflix thing. So, that was good. I think that's a good spot for them, regardless of what people want to say. Hey, it should be made. Nah, this is a good spot. They're as hot as you could get with this feud. You gotta strike while it's good. But overall, all-star.
Sami Zayn, he came into this year looking to win and prove he's a champion once again. This led him down the path of trying to become the World Heavyweight Champion. He had a really good match with Seth, I believe. No, he had a really good match with Seth at the end of 2023. Coming into 2024, he set his sights on the Intercontinental Championship, winning the gauntlet to become the number one contender, and then beating Gunther to end his 666-day reign at WrestleMania. He went over had to have a strong fighting champion run, defending against the likes of Chad Gable. He defended against Bronson Reed, picking up victories against both men. He even successfully defended against Braun Breaker before losing the Breaker at SummerSlam to drop the Intercontinental title. He lost a rematch in a 2 out of 3 falls matchup on Monday Night Raw, and then found himself going back after the World Championship, challenging Gunther in October, coming up short against Gunther in a great matchup there. And then he found himself back in the bloodline drama. After Jey Uso found himself back into that drama, Sammy asked him, he didn't understand why he was getting involved, and said Sammy doesn't understand because he's not family. Until Jey realized that Sammy was the family that he chose, and Sammy reunited with the OG bloodline despite Roman Reigns not saying sorry for anything. They went on to win the men's War Games matchup. So he's ending off the year pretty strong. Started off the year pretty strong. Sami Zayn, I'm thinking either main event or all-star.
I kind of want to lean with main event because I feel like he's done more than the norm to be like all-star. He ended up
I would say he's on like the same level as Jay, because Jay is more popular.
Oh yeah, I would say so. It's just I think a little bit more for me because I mean he did end Gunther's historic reign, and then he had a strong IC title run. If you put him a high all-star, I think that's a good spot too.
Put him right next to Jay.
Yeah, that's I'll take it. That's good.
Right next to Jay in all-star. And then finally, Roman Reigns. Roman started off the year the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, beating LA Knight, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles in the Royal Rumble. Then we had all the drama on the road to WrestleMania, the final boss, The Rock, coming in, him being officially inducted into the Bloodline, him and Rock beating Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes on the first night of WrestleMania. But then on the second night, his 1,316-day reign came to an end when Cody finished his story. Roman Reigns took the next 4 months off, but became the specter of like just over a cloud over WWE. He would become the character that was always mentioned but never seen, and his popularity grew. So by the time he came back at SummerSlam, he came back as the most popular babyface in the company after being the top heel in the company for the past 4 years, thrusting himself into the Bloodline Civil War Part 2 with Solo Sikoa at the helm of the new Bloodline. He teamed up with Cody Rhodes to defeat Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu at Bad Blood, thanks to an assist from the returning Jimmy Uso. Roman then reunited the OG Bloodline with Jey Uso, but they came up short at Crown Jewel with Solo pinning Roman. But Sami Zayn was soon there to bring back the original four. They reunited and then joined forces with CM Punk, thanks in large part to Paul Heyman's return. And they went on to win the men's War Games matchup. Now, with his wise men by his side, he set his sights on Solo Sikoa to regain the Ula Fala and regain his spot as not only the OTC, but the all-encompassing tribal chief. He's been the centerpiece of the #1 storyline in all of WWE, despite not being here for 4 months, despite a part-time schedule. WrestleMania headline.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give it to Roman. I can't even really rebuttal a lot. The only nitpick I could probably think of is, he came back. SummerSlam, obviously he had like the biggest reaction. And that's what WWE has always wanted. Yeah, he was getting a reaction while he was a heel and he was a tribal chief. But being full-blown babyface and fucking the roof fucking being blown off, that's what they've always wanted. That's the moment they've been waiting for, and they got it, right? The only thing I would say is that ever since he's come back, he hasn't had a singles match. He's had multi-men matches. That's the only thing I could really say, like, hey, but it's Roman Reigns. He had, and then to me, he had the best match of the year with Cody Rhodes. That's still either 1, 2, if people was to argue, easily a top 3 match for WWE. It's a top match, and you know, I'm talking about an OG. Again, Mr. WrestleMania. He's how many WrestleManias he's main evented. You gotta tell me, oh no, he's just a main event. He's not a WrestleMania main event. Like, you know what I mean? It's Roman Reigns. I can't argue.
Absolutely, that is right. So let's do the order here for our tiers. So we got our WrestleMania headliners: The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, Paul Heyman, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, and Roman Reigns. How should we rank these?
I think Roman should be a little bit higher.
Where?
Definitely past
We're at.
Paul Heyman. 2. I'll put him 2.
All right. I would say Drew, I would put third. And then Gunther. I think that should be the order of the top. You agree?
That's actually good. Yep.
Then we got main event, which is CM Punk, Kevin Owens, Liv Morgan, Stephanie Vicaire, Julia, Damian Priest, Nia Jax, Ova Femi, Randy Orton, Fraxium, Becky Lynch, Samantha Irvin, Triple H, Michael Cole, Wade Barrett.
I think that's fair. I think that's pretty fair. Unless if you got something to change, I think that it seems to line up very well.
Yeah, I think that seems right. Then we got the All-Stars: Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Bayley, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Seth Rollins, Trick Williams, LA Knight, Logan Paul, Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, Braun Breaker, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, The New Day, Bronson Reed, Jada Parker, the Motor City Machine Guns, AJ Styles, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, Ethan Page, Booker T, Joe Testator, and Nick Aldis.
I actually might move Solo at Jacob a little bit higher.
To where?
Solo, I think, is, I want to say third.
And Jacob to fourth?
Yeah.
All right. Seems about right. Then we got mid card, which is Kairi Sane, Tony D'Angelo, Lyra Valkyria, DIY, Wesley, Javon Evans, Sheamus, Candice LeRae, Braun Strowman, Kalani Jordan, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Rey Mysterio, Ludwig Kaiser, No Quarter Catch Crew, Lola Vice, the Gorillas of Destiny, Sol Ruka, Michin, Fallon Henley and JC Jane, Fatal Influence, the Meta Girls, or Meta 4, Ariana Grace, Tatum Paxley, Zelina Vega, A-Town Down Under, Karrion Kross, R-Truth, Maxine Dupree, Ava, Alicia Taylor, Kathy Kelly, Jackie Redmond, Megan Morant, Chase Yu, Corey Graves, Mike Rome, Pat McAfee.
That seems pretty fair.
Then we got Deserves Better, Jade Cargill, Finn Balor, Naomi, Dakota Kai, American Made, Piper Niven, Unholy Union, Shayna Baszler, Thea Hale, Dragon Lee, Santos Escobar, Alpha Academy, Street Profits, Vic Joseph, Pretty Deadly, Pete Dunne.
That's good.
Then we got Mid, the Party Girls, Pure Fusion Collective, B-Fab, Electra Lopez, Scarlett, Ivy Nile, Natalia, Blair Davenport, Wendy Chu, Jasmine Nix, Shanti the Adonis, Carmen Petrovic, Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering, Brendan Reese, these two, Izzy Dane, Danny Palmer, Stevie Turner, Adam Pierce, D'Angelo family, this girl who's blonde, Los Garza, this guy, Byron Saxton, Robert Stone, Dante Chin, Apollo Cruz, OTM, Brooks Jensen, Judgment Day, the Judgment Day Bums, the LWO bums, big, beefy, bouncy black dude bums, Dexter Lumis, The Miz, Eddie Thorpe, Gallus, Lexis King, Hank and Tank, Josh Briggs, Sean Spears.
And I think that's fair because it's like you're gonna argue like, oh no, this person's a higher mid. It's not a good argument to have.
Then we got Niggas Not Here, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Asuka, Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan, Raquel Rodriguez, Kiana James, I Don't Know You, Maurice, Shotzi, Stephanie McMahon, Trish Stratus, Valhalla, dude that used to host some shows, Titus O'Neil, William Regal, dude that used to host the Bump, Bobby Roode, Javier Bernal, Omos, Tyler Bate, Mako Satomura, Noam Dar, Big E, Cedric Alexander, Idris Onofle and Malik Blade, Ilya Dragunov, War Raiders, Jimmy Uso, John Cena, The Good Brothers, and Shinsuke Nakamura.
That's fair.
And then we got Contract Not Renewed, Odyssey Jones, Indy Hartwell, Tegan Knox, Tamina, Nikita Lyons, Baron Corbin, I Don't Know You, and Giovanni Vinci.
Same. I think it's fair because Odyssey Jones, obviously, I think that's the biggest one just because of the fucking fumble of that. Like, that's brutal.
Seems about right. That is our official tier list. That is everything. That is the WWE women, the WWE men. Watch both parts if you haven't already. Check out our WWE Women's 2024 tier list that is up on the channel right now if you haven't already. Josh, let everybody know where they can follow you.
You can follow me, JamPunk321, Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me every Saturday on the Chill Heat flagship podcast, 11:05 Eastern time every Saturday.
And you can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at TrueHillHeat. Patreon.com/TrueHillHeat. $3 a month to get you exclusive content. The best way to support us when we are not here. But check out our tier list for AEW women's and men. Check out our WWE women's tier list as well. And let us know how much you enjoy these tier lists because maybe we could do some more for 2025 or do some more outside of our year-end recap that we do here. So let us know in the comments. But until then, for the True Jaw Josh, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our WWE Men's 2024 tier list. We are signing off until next time.